I already know. What's good, fellas? What's good, fellas? What is it? 1 minute late? Jesus
Not
Christ.
good enough, man. Not good enough.
Not good enough is crazy. I was ordering food. I'm not gonna lie. I literally just ordered food. That was the hold up. L Dub, L host. You can put it in. Last night we was really late because I didn't realize JD changed the time on me for gridiron. It was OD. It was a crazy time. How you feeling, Mars? You good?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. I miss Gridiron. Didn't get to say Tom Brady's trash because I was fast asleep. But Tom Brady is trash, so I'll say it here because it has to be
Alright.
said.
Did you see my message on the Telegram?
What was your message on the Telegram?
Read it out real quick.
Okay.
My
Oh,
day's good, Maxine. Appreciate you.
that's definitely going to be a talking point about. Yeah, okay.
That he's not that good because he got picked second to last, which is
He wasn't
crazy.
even picked. He just picked himself. He's a fraud.
I think LeBron was gonna pick him, but I think the thing is with Jokic is for everybody. I sent Mars a text last night. I was like, "Yo, Mars, you gonna be ready for Ticket to say that Jokic isn't that good because he got picked second to last?" And I don't think the rumors are Jokic didn't see Laurie marketing.
That's cap.
So
That's cap.
you
That's
think
cap.
it's cap? You think it's cap?
He has all that vision and can't see a big 6'11" guy behind him. Nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's false.
he,
He just didn't want to be the last pick. It's fine.
I think it's crazy that he fell so low though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he's not. He's not. He's not like you don't go to an All Star game to watch Jokic. I watched Kyrie try to throw him two lobs and he couldn't get off the floor. Like that's just not All Star material. That game was trash though. But Jokic just isn't an All Star player.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but do you think that this resembles on how because everyone's saying in chat, don't you think that this resembles how the NBA players view Jokic?
Um, explain. Explain.
So your peers, right?
Okay.
The opinions of your peers, the fact that Jokic got picked second to last under guys like Donovan Mitchell and Kyrie and those guys, isn't this an understanding of the perspective of how NBA players view and rank Nikola Jokic in their mind frame?
Um, it could be. I doubt NBA players are idiotic enough to think guys like Kyrie are better than Nikola Jokic, so I'd hope not. But I do think if you're pessimistic about Jokic and don't think he's that good, this could definitely be something you could use as ammunition for why he's not that good. If NBA
Mhm.
players don't respect him to pick him.
Now, do you think that this is because of how the NBA players really feel, or that they were just doing it just to troll?
I just think they didn't want him on their team. Like I just like I said, I think Jokic is a guy like for all star purposes, he's kind of boring. Like Sabonis is also kind of the same. Like who
Hmm.
wants someone to Sabonis on their team? He just runs, he stands near the rim, gets a rebound, might pass the ball to someone. Like no one really cares. Like and so I don't think it's an indictment on him as a player. I think it's an indictment on him as an all star player. Like Rudy Gobert is another example in a much further like way, but he's also not an all star player. Whether or not I think NBA players think he's trash, I don't know. But he's just not someone you want to see in an all star game when you got guys like Kyrie, Ja Morant, Luka Doncic, etc. There's just more all star game players than Nikola Jokic.
You mean not all-star game players, you mean eye-appealing players.
Yes, the aesthetically pleasing players.
Mhm.
Jokic is just kind of just there, just bumbling around, all big and slow.
I got you. I got you. Sato with the super chat. Mars or Dub, can we get a ooh and a cups to the rose? Which part do you want to sing? You want to do the ooh? You want to sing cups to the rose?
Why can't you do both?
No, no, no. I just did it. I just read the super chat. So now you have to do one.
Ooh,
There we go. There we go. We're gonna get into the title of the video though. Addressing some of the false narratives about Magic Johnson and his career. Um, every time when I hear people talk about Magic Johnson, and it's high praise for Magic. I'm not saying he's not deserving. I think Magic is deserving for the praise that he did, saving the NBA, and the caliber of player he was in his time was phenomenal. But I hear a lot of talks about Magic Johnson, and people hold him to a lot of the top five realm, and I don't think that that's the realm that he belongs in. I believe that the way that people talk about Kobe Bryant is the way that people should talk about Magic Johnson, because Magic Johnson is closer to a 7 8 range than the top five range. You feel me? Um, Mainly because of one, longevity. Uh, as a complete basketball player, two, as a complete basketball player, he just wasn't there. A lot of the criticism that Kobe gets for playing with Shaquille O'Neal, you can apply that same logic to Magic Johnson as well. A lot of criticism that Kevin Durant gets for having one all-time great capability, that can apply to Magic Johnson as well. He has one all-time great capability, and everything else is he's like average or below average or slightly above average. That's just the whole entirety of his game. Also, I think some of the impact does get overrated, mainly because, especially after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, people tend to lean on the arguments that Magic and the Lakers were still able to play at a high level without Kareem, and as he was regressing, then they just severely underrate how good that supporting cast really was. For example, in 1991, after not 91, 92, after Magic Johnson, had to leave the game due to HIV. The Lakers actually made the playoffs. They made the postseason. They made the postseason with James Worthy missing 50 games. They made the postseason with Vlade Divac only playing 36 games. They also missed the postseason with Sam Perkins only missing 18 games as well, or 19 games. I forget which one. That right there is a clear representation of how good that supporting cast is. You lost your best player. Your second best player misses around 30 to 40 games. Your third and fourth best players miss a substantial amount of time as well. And then you're still able to perform at a high level to be able to make the postseason. That just goes to show how valuable that and how good that Lakers squad was, even without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I think a lot of his impact does get overrated. Guys like Kobe Bryant proved that with a terrible supporting cast like Kwame Brown, Smush Parker, and the boys, he was able to will that team to the playoffs. And then as soon as he got adequate help, went to three straight finals. And just it is what it is, bro. Magic Johnson, his whole entire career just gets a little bit overrated sometimes. I think this needs to be addressed. Mars.
Um, I don't think you're wrong, but then I don't think you're fully right. So I agree. Maybe his impact gets a bit overstated. I think his teams were fantastic, and a lot of people seem to undersell those guys a little bit. But because I heard your list the other day. Me personally, do I agree? Like Kobe Bryant should probably be over Magic Johnson. Sure, that's fine. No argument. Kevin Durant, I don't get it. I just don't get it because
Ke-
Kevin Durant, he's had those same quality of teams. We look at how those teams have looked without him. I mean, we don't need to talk about what Golden State looked like without him. Russell Westbrook made the playoffs with a shambolic team the year after KD left, and Magic Johnson. I don't know. I just don't get it with
So,
KD.
so
That
this
that's
is
what it
why
is.
this is why the numbers thing is annoying for me, because KD, I will sit here and admit, is due to my own personal preference. I would rather have Kevin Durant because I have KD, Steph, and Magic in like the same tier of one another. I thought about Larry Bird too. Larry Bird was in that tier, but then I'm just thinking about Larry Bird. I'm like, nah, I gotta put Bird over those guys. I just think he's just better. Um, but KD, Steph, and Magic are guys who's like right next to each other for me. They're on the same tier. So it's like now it's just due to my own personal preference. And Kevin Durant being a great scorer as well. Also a better defender in my eyes for more years than Magic Johnson. I'm gonna roll with a guy like that who's an adequate passer, really above average in every other category in the basketball court. I'm gonna side with Kevin Durant more than Magic Johnson. I understand why the hate is that I have KD over Magic. I do get it, but I mean, in my opinion, for some reason, like for 2021, people don't talk about that 2021 run enough, because that was really a testament to Kevin Durant's legacy, right? 2021, he lost James Harden against the Celtics, went crazy. 2021 against the Chips, the champions at the time, he went crazy on them. Nobody was stopping him. Then Magic Johnson played on a super team as well, performed at a high level, same as KD. Played on a super team as well, performed at a high level. His years in OKC, we walked around both of their careers. We look at their downfalls mainly predicated on Kevin Durant. I mean, not Kevin Durant. Mainly predicated on one, Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook being hurt, or two, teams game planning to Russell Westbrook's deficiencies because he has an inability to space the floor. On top of that, when they lost to the Miami Heat, even then, Miami Heat, that don't get talked about enough. Kevin Durant against the Miami Heat was ridiculous. I guess a great defense at the time, all-time great defense with LeBron, D Wade. That defense was phenomenal. He cooked. Like we don't get me wrong, the playmaking is a weakness in the game that got exploited a little bit, but dude was getting buckets no matter what, and it was crazy to see. So when I look at Kevin Durant and put both of their careers in perspective, I'm just sitting here like, I don't know. I just don't think I could bet off a guy, not bet on a guy who showed me that level of excellence for that extended period of time. But if you want to include injuries to say that Magic's better than KD, I would concede to that. But that's just all to my personal preference.
Yeah, I can't argue with preference. I mean, obviously I might disagree, but we don't need to argue about preference. I do think most of what you said about Magic was correct. I mean, the team did make the playoffs the year after he left. He did have great teams. He did have Kareem. He did have Michael Cooper, James Worthy, Byron Scott then came along. Like he did have great teams, no argument. So I guess it just depends on what you value. I do. I mean, I don't have Magic Johnson in my top 10. So which a lot of people seem to think is disrespectful. I don't think so, but um, so I guess I agree with you, but I do know we are definitely in the minority of people with this opinion. So
Yeah. So we about to let the masses do it. You ready for the masses to come through?
let's do it.
Let's do it, bro. All right, so Jimmy Two Shoes, I did address the turnover issue that Kevin Durant. I did address that was a weakness in this game. So I don't know why you're bringing that up as a point. I hate it when people do that. Like you address a point, you address a flaw that they definitely had in their game, but then it's like they just ignore it and they still bring up that point. I'm just saying here like, what the hell's going on? I think KD because that's the autocorrect. They do KD for some reason. I don't know why. I think KD offensive impact is comparable to Tim Duncan's defensive impact, but because of flair and him saying that NBA it's a bit glorified, he's still top 10, top 3 IQ in my opinion.
I wouldn't argue with someone who has Matt Johnson top 10. I said this on the last show I was on. To me, there's 12 top 10 players of all time. 10 if you don't want to include Wilt and Bill Russell, but I include them. So there's 12 top 10 caliber players. So Steph, LeBron, Hakeem, Shaq, Kobe, MJ, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Wilt, Bill Russell, Tim Duncan. That's 12 top 10 caliber players. Whichever two you leave, okay, don't leave out LeBron or MJ. That's crazy. But whichever two you leave out for the most part, to me, I think you can make a valid argument that Larry Bird isn't top 10, that Steph Curry isn't top 10, that Hakeem isn't top 10, that Shaq isn't top 10, that Duncan isn't top 10, all of them. I think you can make a valid argument that none of those guys, some of those guys will just miss out and be 11 and 12. Two people have to miss out. For me, the two who miss out is Mike Johnson and Steph Curry. I don't think that's hate. I think that's just two people have to miss out. And no matter who I leave out, I'm going to be called a hater of one of those two people. I just think two people have to miss out. The two people who miss out are Magic and Steph. That's not disrespect, in my opinion.
Yeah, another thing too people gotta get over. Just because we say that one player is better than the other, or we say that maybe this is something that could be overrated, that's not us just hating on them. That's just us addressing something that we just it's just what we feel, what we think it is. It's not really hate. So, and contextualizing things, another thing I hate is that when we contextualize things on why things happen, people run to the point where you're dismissing him or trying to tear him down. No, I'm just trying to contextualize the outcomes of some of these guys' career and why things happen. So it's annoying for me. But let's go, fellas. We got Ace Sturdy in the building. What's good with you, bro?
Yeah,
I
what's
haven't
good?
seen you in a minute, bro.
What's
How you
good?
doing?
I've been busy, man, but of course I never miss a show, man. I never miss a show. Always telling people get them likes up, support, and all that.
Appreciate
But
you,
you,
bro.
Support,
Appreciate you.
support.
what's good, everybody?
You
Hello.
What's
doing
good,
good?
BMG Dev?
I'm
What
su-
you got?
I'm su-
What you,
I'm surprised that Mars doesn't have Magic in his top 10. Top 10. Actually, I'm kind of surprised.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I thought you were having like I don't know. I thought everyone except for Dub and probably Dell will have Magic in his top 10.
I
But
think
I'm
Dub
not.
does have him top 10, don't you?
I
who?
don't know. Magic
Magic?
have
Yeah.
yeah.
He's 11.
Oh,
It's right there.
yeah, I have him at 11 too. He's right behind Larry Bird at 10.
Y'all gonna disagree with me. I got my list pulled up. I got him like around 6, 7, 8 range because I hear everything you said, Dub. You made good, compelling points in the beginning. I don't remember everything, but you made some good points. And so while I got Magic in my top 10, I feel like you said, he had great teams, but I feel like his impact and I'm gonna use the water analogy, like Mars did. His
Hmm.
offensive,
Yes.
his offense was he's one of the greatest offensive players of all time when it comes to his impact, his flashing, his playmaking, his flair, his way he elevated his teammates, and he could score when he needed to. Yes, he wasn't a great defender, and I'll give him that. That's why he's not like super high on the list because his defense and um everything else. He came. I feel like the way he came in the league, he had such a great start coming in the league. Yes, he came to a good situation, but I feel like his impact coming in the league automatically. And I'm not one of those guys like, oh, he plays center because obviously that's not true. He just did a jump ball, but he did have and I do understand why he would drop down the list because the Tragic Johnson, the um the longevity part too. I feel like if he had better longevity, then he would be a lot higher. But I do feel like his impact gets now. I think sometimes it's getting a little bit understated now, and I do see how people overrate it. But I think Magic Johnson was clearly the best players on those teams, and it operated at a high level when
So I want to clarify.
yeah
It's not that we. Well, no, I don't know about we, but it's not that I don't acknowledge that Magic Johnson doesn't have impact. I think he does have a great level of impact that
mm,
none of us could discount. He did make it easier for his teammates to get off when he did come into that system. They were able to play at a fast pace mainly because of him. So you can't discount that part of his game. He definitely has impact. I just think that a lot of people overrate that and use that point too many times to try to put him over guys like Kobe, guys like Tim Duncan as well,
yeah
guys like Hakeem as well. KD, I'll leave him out the equation because that's just my personal preference. But I do
yeah
think that
that part
yeah,
was
yeah, I do
Yeah.
think they lean on that argument way too much in order to put him above guys like that because I think all of those guys have shown a great level of impact to make it easier for those guys to get off, make it easier for those guys for their teammates to be better players as well.
Kobe?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think Kobe Bryant gets underrated because he gets labeled as a selfish player, but Kobe Bryant having the willingness to play alongside Shaquille O'Neal and both of those guys would be able to play at a high level at the time was actually remarkable. Him playing with Paul Gasol, who was able to play at a high level, him, Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom, even Lamar Odom was getting off as well. So the disrespect of Kobe saying that he doesn't help elevate his teammates is just false. It's not true.
yeah.
They
I'm not
ele-
I
mad
but
at the
give
they
list.
Kobe
they
more
elevate.
credit for the second run than the first, as far as elevating his teammates. But
Oh no, I was talking about in that first one of having the understanding of I have a guy next to me and Shaquille O'Neal is so dominant and we could sit here and understand how to play off each other so that we could sit here and perform at a high level. Both of those guys were just playing at extraordinary levels in
He
the
probably still
postseason.
didn't have a choice. Like he probably like knew like, hey, I'm not gonna. The coach like, hey, we got this big 7 foot guy that can dunk on anyone. Let me just go ahead and
I
do
mean,
my job
yeah,
to score.
Kobe
It's
got
like
drafted to a team that Shaq got signed to, and he was automatically going to be the top dog. So I think Kobe just, as he was growing, I'll give Kobe like slack just because, in the sense that Shaq really should have been more nurturing to Kobe rather than kind of rush the progress. But in fairness to Shaq, he was at a point where it's like, hey, man, you are 5, 6 years in. You already been to the finals, lost, got swept out of the playoffs. First, like 3 out of the 4 years you were here, we need championships. So you tell me, hey, this rookie right here, this guy's gonna be your co-star. So I can
So
see both,
when Jerry West spoke about that, he was speaking on potential Kobe, which obviously worked out, but he didn't play it. No, that was we gotta do a Shaq debunk because now Shaq is starting to get underrated somehow. But
yeah, I don't think Shaq.
the-
I think Shaq was always a good teammate. Well, I'm not gonna say always, but he wasn't
I mean,
as
that's
bad of a
tipping
teammate
an
as people
I
elder
think.
didn't.
that
Hey
owes
no,
all the
BMJ.
I think
respect.
now
My fault, sir.
people measure Shaq's career as what they expect it to be than opposed to what it was, and it's weird to me. But
Yeah,
that's either that's later
Yeah.
on or another time we have to do. But Dub, you on point with this Magic part. That KD part, you missed me with that one. But like everything you said about Magic, I have the same thing. So like it really depends on the criteria how you rank players. But you can't say you rank everything and have Magic top five. Like he's consistently top five. It's just all like unless you're doing it by position, makes sense. Even if you do impact towards winning, he is up there. He's like if you do objectively, he's like 5 or 6 in terms of impact towards winning during his prime. But everything else, he don't have top five. He don't have top five accolades for those who value that. He doesn't have a top five longevity for those who value that. He has nowhere near top five peak, only offensively. Only offensively. So so there's multiple players that you can clearly put above him. So and the biggest confusion to me is on a consensus list, Magic is top five, but Bird is always like 8 to 9. I personally never understood the gap. You can have either one above one another, but like, why is Bird a guy who has more accolades for people that value him, a guy who has a higher peak all around, who was clearly a better player and optimized? And if you want to look at context and situation of team, Magic played on a more talented team for more years than Bird. Even though Bird, that did not say, I'm not saying Bird didn't play on all-time great teams, but
No, you're
Magic
right.
played better.
Yeah,
I
you're
think I
right.
have an answer for that, but
It's
this
because
is me though.
free rings is less than 5. That's the answer. There you go.
Well,
That's
yeah.
the answer.
Well, that's one. That's
And the
one, and
playoff
also,
performances is always, man.
yeah, that's. I was just gonna say that because I remember Low brought up a point saying that reason why he has Magic ahead of Bird because Bird playoff drops the way he dropped in the playoffs and how he had to wait to Dan Smith to win and he didn't perform that well in the finals and and he's debunk and people use that point to debunk it's basically like that's why performance matters. Basically, why performance matters because Bird, even though yeah, he has his finals accomplishments, his performance. Show it up like a whereas like Jordan. The reason why was Jordan so high is not because he had 6 rings, but he performed very well in those 6 finals. So I
See,
think that's
and that's
why.
that, and that's
Jordan's
that,
never.
that's
I
that
don't
low,
think he
That's
ever
not.
had
That's
like
not
a
my.
bad
That's not.
playoff
That's not my
performance
answer though.
either. I don't know
and
if he
that's that
ever had
low
like a
body.
horrible playoff performance. That's the one thing Jordan has over most people. He doesn't have like a bad. He has maybe like an ass series, but not like a bad series where he was just the reason they lost.
But to that point, right? If you and I've been watching Low for a while, if you pay attention precisely what Low be saying about Bird, is really he quote unquote has spotty scoring performances in the playoffs. But some of those series, I mean, some of those games where didn't score more than 20 points, he still impacted the game. That's how Bird was. Bird was
Yeah.
a versatile player, and that's why I keep iterating to. But Low got a Laker bias, and he knows it. But like, that's not the point. But
That's true.
but he knows Bird is a better player. He tries to say the longevity is a huge gap. In reality, the longevity is about the same. It's really about the same.
Yeah.
Maybe
You know
one
what's
season apart.
crazy?
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people even say that a lot of old heads kind of agree that Burrow's a better player, but they still rank Magic because of the winning, which is I think people do that a lot because a lot of people it's not uncommon for people to say Burrow was better. They just have Magic because I think Magic was not only that Magic is more of a when playing he was more of a public figure like he's a nicer dude. He didn't talk trash. I think he was more of a likable person. I think that's another. I think personal that also impact when they rank players too.
I think it's just Laker bias in general. I think a lot of people just favor the Lakers organization over the Boston Celtics organization, and like
There's
Larry Bird.
reasons though.
You said what?
There's reasons though.
Yeah, yeah, and there's valid reasons for that, 100%. Like I'm not disputing that. But Larry Bird is a guy where, and I still find it remarkable, bro. Like when I did double check that, I found it crazy where they went from 29 wins in 1979, and then they jumped all the way to 60 wins. The
60
most,
wins, bro.
the
The
main
only person,
acquisition,
That's tough.
the only two new people were Cedric Maxwell and Larry Bird.
exactly, and they took that big of a jump. That goes to show how much of an impact Larry Bird had on the game. On top of that, even in the dude won a championship in his second year before he got the super team. And I get it, like his scoring performance wasn't great, but the dude damn near averaged a triple double and was playing some good defense in that series as well. Like even though he wasn't getting his shot going for him, the dude impacted the games in other ways for his team to be successful. Like you just can't dispute that. So Larry Bird winning without a super duper squad like that in his second year. And then when he's getting the super duper squad, beating the Showtime Lakers, I mean that's a testament to who he is. On top of that, bro, he's a better scorer. He's a much better rebounder. Now Magic's a much better passer, but Larry Bird has great passing ability as well, and Larry Bird's a better defender. It doesn't make sense to me and they both impact the game. I think they impact the game in different ways, but overall, it's the same level of impact. You feel me?
I got another reply to that quote. And this, hello, I know you listen to this, and that's why I'm waiting for Sunday. When you say Birds, you rank Magic because of playoff translation and more impactful towards the playoffs. You always fail to mention Magic's liability in all stages of his prime defensively. Yes, he was an average defender at his peak, but he was always, especially in situations in the playoffs, he was a liable defender. He could not stay in front of any of the elite guards of that time, nor was not he strong or athletic enough to be a quality baseline defender. He was intelligent, high IQ, still blew up the plays. Was I wouldn't say active in the passing lanes, but there was times where he recognized the play and obviously made the play. But outside of that, he was vulnerable in the post. He was bro. His defensive technique is the worst you'll probably see from a professional NBA player out of any legend.
Y'all Jokic pretty bad.
Please go watch those games of Magic Johnson against any teams in the 80s.
Is Steph and Magic the only two like players that are probably in the top 10 that are better, that are okay at defense? Not thinking about it, like Steph and Magic.
They're the two worst defenders in the top 12 range by far. Yeah, and they're the 2-point guards. So
who's your top 3 dub again?
Would Shaq qualify? Since he was
I think Shaq peaked as an elite defender, but I just think that gets disrespected.
Kobe,
I think he was a good defender for most of his career.
Kobe, MJ, LeBron.
Terrible.
I have Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, but that's me.
Yeah, I did it too.
Shaq's defense. My bad, but Shaq's defense does get underrated a lot, mainly because I get it. The effort wasn't there, especially in pick and roll situations. But I think the totality of his career, I think he was always an above average defender. The issue though is just playing with like next to David Robinson and then Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, he played against great centers.
Of the top 5 centers, it's probably the 4th or 5th like best defender. If you
people glaze him for not making the all defensive team. It's like, bro, I mean, it's kind of hard to make an all defensive team when you're going
with
against
David
guys
Robinson,
like
Mutombo,
Patrick Ewing.
A lot of
no. I'm just thinking about top 5 consensus like Kareem, Bill, Will, Shaq, and Hakeem.
Yeah, he's the worst defender.
You're proud.
But those guys are some of the greatest defenders of
I think. Remember, like long ago, when I think y'all got into an argument with what was it, Chill and I forgot. Fluent about not watching the games live. Like it's a difference in watching the games live and seeing it like later on. The fact that I saw lately the same argument brought up on First Take a couple of days ago.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
What's his name? Talking to JJ Redick. Mad Dog saying that because Mad Dog said Larry Bird was a top 5 3-point shooter ever.
Oh yeah, I agree.
That was terrible.
That was like one of I'm thinking like over. Are you sure? And then said like if you look at all the players that's played, all the volume, everything, he's not. And then said, well, I was there at the game, JJ. You weren't, so I have a better perspective. And I thought that's just such a weak. That's a weak argument to say because I was there. I have a better grasp of it than I would a younger person just seeing it for what it is later on. Like it's the same game. There's no alteration.
Yo, Dub. There's an interesting super chat that I want Mars to reply to.
Oh,
damn!
What's the super chat?
Oh, fucking up that food.
Dub brother, like him.
Let me do this. I was munching.
Dub.
I've noticed that a lot of old heads conflate disrespect with just hearing something they don't like. Somehow disagreement is inherently disrespectful. It's not disrespectful to contextualize. I agree 100%. Right. Oh, I see which one.
This one.
LLJ, can't you make the same argument for why Jokic is a better offensive player than Kobe for Magic Johnson as well? Clear as a scorer and are in the same tier of passer. Mars?
I mean, you could make that argument if you wanted. My argument wasn't about clearing as a scorer, same pass or whatever. My argument was the impact Jokic had offensively on that Denver team in terms of how good that offense performs with him, alongside the fact that he's peaking as one of the 5 best passers of all time. maybe one of the 5 best playmakers of all time, and probably one of the most efficient scorers ever. That's more the argument than just how many things he does well offensively, because back to my water analogy, it doesn't matter how many things you do well, it's about how much water you bring. Magic Johnson for me is Magic Johnson peaked as one of the 5 best offensive players ever, in my opinion, not because of how many things he did well, because you're not going to look at Magic Johnson and say he's an all-time great scorer. It's because he was so good as a passer and playmaker, clearly the best ever in both of those categories, in my opinion, that it brought more water than a lot of people when they have these all-around offensive games. So I think if you wanted to make that argument, I would once again say I need to see more in the playoffs from Jokic before I say that. But I would look at you a bit suspect if you said Jokic was better offensively than Magic. But at the same time, I understand it. But I also haven't said Jokic is better than Kobe convincingly yet. So I don't know. I just would still go with Magic at this point.
Word. Let me get some more. Could also argue Jokic is a better playmaker than Magic because of much greater scoring gravity that is able to affect and shift defensive more.
I agree. I disagree with that.
Why?
I don't think you could argue Jokic. I think you could argue Jokic has more scoring gravity than Magic. Sure. I don't think you could argue he's a better playmaker than Magic Johnson. The way he was able to manipulate defenses, his exploitation of defenses and gaps, and his understanding of where his teammates were is the best I've ever seen. I think when you look at his peak, the post game he had an ability to make outside shots that still added exceptional value. So he still did have some sort of scoring gravity, but most of his playmaking and passing came from the fact that he was just able to exploit gaps in defenses that no one else could. Because in the 80s, the way this floor was the lack of space they had, the way he was still able to exploit those gaps and find layups and find shots at the rim, even in that time, I don't think you could say Jokic is a better playmaker than him.
Do you think Magic will be good in this era?
Yeah.
I think he'd be good in this era. I don't think he'd play point guard. I highly doubt he'd play point guard. Probably
So
play
like
he'd be like a 4. Yeah, I think he'd be a 4.
He'll be a 4. He'll be a 4.
But I
feel
still
like
think he'd be great.
You wouldn't think he'd be a better version and way
I won't say
better
defense.
version offensively than Ben Simmons today?
No.
I say offensively because I can't.
Offensively, yeah. You had to hide him on the defensive side because obviously he's too slow to guard the guards, and probably put him like on a big man or power forward that's a non-shooter. But spacing the floor, oh yeah, he'll benefit. I feel like he'll average at least 12. He'll lead the league in assists in this era. That's one thing I believe.
Wait, Mars, playmaking is passing and scoring for you, right?
Creating shots for your teammates. Yeah.
Like gravity.
I don't get it then. I don't get how Steph and Jokic aren't probably better playmakers than Magic Johnson.
Because I think Magic Johnson created more shots and more valuable shots for his teammates in his prime than anyone in the history of basketball.
And he also has playoff translation. Like playoff translation is a big deal because you're not only going against the best teams, you're also going against the best defenses as well. So there's no back-to-back. So every single game, they're trying to take the best assets from you. So what Mars is saying, Magic's accuracy, play recognition, and the optimized transition from outlets to pushing it himself, all those things created multiple avenues and extra possessions for his team. So in playmaking, that's the beauty of basketball. There's myriad of ways you can do off-ball and on-ball to basically manipulate the defenses to create either a cutting angle, open shooting, or whatever. But in regards to Jokic, in my opinion, he just needs more playoff translation. He just needs more. That's it.
Saying the same thing I've been saying for weeks, and apparently no one seems to understand.
Jokic, we're kind of like, it's like what he's done. We're also kind of like projecting too, because he has to do it. He has to obviously do it in the playoff series. But Jokic, based off what we've seen, there's no reason for me not to believe that he can't do it in the playoffs.
Oh, I agree. I think it will translate, but I have to see it translate before anything. Dub, do you want to know something crazy?
Especially if you get a
Yeah,
tip.
go ahead.
I was watching back old episodes of like the panel and stuff because I've been called disrespectful for this Jokic and Kobe thing for a very long time. So I was just trying to see where it came from. And then it turns out it wasn't me or Lo who brought up Jokic being better than Kobe. It came from, we were talking about Jokic being the best offensive big of all time. And then Dell got angry about that and then asked me, because I said Jokic was better offensively than Shaq. And then Dell asked me, so is Jokic better offensively than... So then Dell asked me, is Jokic better offensively than Kobe? Because I said Shaq was better offensively than Kobe. So that would also mean Jokic would be better offensively than Kobe. And then I said, well, if I did say that, then yes, Jokic would be better offensively than Kobe. And then all of a sudden, it's why are you guys bringing up Kobe when it comes to Jokic? They don't even play the same position. We didn't start that conversation.
I mean,
it was Del
Kobe,
You got caught up.
one person that
You got trapped. No, you got
that's
caught.
fine. So it's just like I never went out my way to disrespect Kobe. I got asked the question, and then I said yes, and then it's all of a sudden, why are you bringing up Kobe? Why are you trying to disrespect Kobe? I'm like, that's not what happened.
They'll caught you on that one. I will say
that. I still stand on it. It's not like, oh, I regret it. It's like, sure.
That's what Kobe fans are, though, man. That's what Kobe fans
just
are.
that I definitely didn't bring up Kobe Bryant randomly to just say Jokic is better than him.
Dub's a sensible Kobe fan, though.
I mean,
I'm a sensible Kobe fan. Oh, thank you. I think the problem with Kobe fans is you can make the reason why Kobe's top 3 for me. I think I could make a valid argument for him to be better than everybody in NBA history besides Kobe and LeBron. I mean MJ and LeBron. I could make a valid case for him to be better than everybody else. The issue with Kobe fans, they always pick the wrong arguments to make.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
And I don't get why.
They say his mentality, like
shut up about the mentality. Talk about the accolades. You could talk about the accolades. You could talk about how these other guys had similar loads with Kobe. You could talk about the talent that he had. Like Kobe Bryant is one of the most accomplished players in NBA history, but nobody talks about that, and I don't know why.
I just hate how they seem like a lot of them is. Yes, you can praise Kobe. I 100% believe he deserves a lot of the praise he gets and it's valid because he's one of the greatest ever. They always seem to diminish the teammates he had. Like the people who have Kobe top 3, a lot of them seems to try and diminish Shaq as if he wasn't great.
Pau Gasol.
Pau Gasol was just mid. I'm like, you diminish these people to praise Kobe. You don't need to do that.
They said Pau Gasol wasn't a top 10 big man.
Like Kobe's legacy can speak. Kobe's legacy can stand on its own without you having to diminish all of his teammates he ever had to make it seem like he was better than he was. I'm like, you don't need to do all that.
That's a fact. The only time where I think it's correct to do that is when he was playing
those
06.
That dude was going.
You don't need to bring up Shaq just to pipe up Kobe. Like, didn't elders say like, why didn't Shaq let Kobe take over during like the between 2000 to 2004?
2003. He should. I think that was a valid
Shaq
point.
was still great at that time. No, he was still great.
I think that was a great point because Shaq should have recognized that Kobe was ascending, and Shaq, at the end of the day, Shaq was descending as well. Not to the same level, but he was descending a little bit. So he should have come with the understanding of, you know what, I see this guy play on the side. He did the same thing with Dwayne Wade. He literally did the same thing for Dwayne Wade, but he didn't do it with Kobe Bryant. He's seen and he had a conversation with Gary Payton.
The Lakers were his team first.
But that's you being selfish. That's literally you being selfish because you sitting here. This is my team.
That also could be the thing.
And it was Shaq's team. It was Shaq's team in Miami. It wasn't Dwayne Wade's. It was Shaq's team when he got there. He was the best player when he first got there. He was the guy of that team because D Wade was a young guy at that time. He was a young.
But he conceded though. He said he conceded.
But he conceded to Dwayne Wade. But I think that's wrong because he should have just conceded to Kobe Bryant.
I mean, Phil Jackson.
You can argue that. You can argue.
It wasn't just Shaq. Phil Jackson also wanted Shaq to stay and not Kobe. And then the Lakers favored Kobe. And then Phil
that was done for Phil to want. Since
another thing is I didn't hate Kobe because. If people say that 06 isn't the best offensive season just because he didn't win, it's still crazy to me because you can't you put up 35 points because I understand winning matters, but
you talking about Shaq?
When we say offensive season, it's your individual performance. We're talking about you as an individual because this is a team sport. But Kobe as an individual went crazy that season. Was that the season score 81 or am I wrong?
35, yeah.
2006. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. How is that not his best offensive season? So,
yeah. I feel you. Hey, I appreciate you guys for being up here, though.
I appreciate it.
Be easy. Gotta get some guys on. Y'all be safe, bro. Peace. That was nice. Dub, y'all need to have John Stockton on the podcast. That would be amazing.
If he wants to come up, we'll have him up. Why not?
You can reverse the "I was there" logic. That take has emotions involved and takes away from looking at it from a subjective view of anything being there impairs their judgment. I believe so too. I think Mad Dog was stupid for saying that. At the end of the day, it's the same game. A game 20 years, no matter which time I watched it, The game is the same game no matter what. We're watching essentially the same thing. It's just a matter of interpretation. We're not seeing anything different just because you lived through it, right? If a kid 10 years later down the road tells me about a game that, you know what, this guy wasn't really like that, I would go back. I would do the due diligence of going back to watch the games to seeing if he's right in his take. And if he's not right, I would therefore address him in that manner. But a lot of these old heads think that just because they lived through it, it's just facts, and that's
With
not
how
true.
much we have available to us as well, I don't know why people are so obsessed with you having to be there to live through it. Like, especially when they only watch those games once. And most of them, like, I guarantee, like, we'll go back to the Larry Bird left-handed game. I guarantee none of them watched that game live. Why were they going to watch Boston versus Portland? I doubt the game was even on national TV because they played the Lakers a few nights later. That game was definitely going to be on the national TV. That Portland game probably wasn't. People probably never even saw it. But they want to go, oh, I was there. No, you wasn't. You didn't see it. You don't remember it. You're just talking because you was alive at the time. But it's what it is.
I feel you, bro. Let's get some of these guys up here. What's up, fellas? Before y'all go, I got one more super chat. When Bird says Magic is better than him, the masses will go with, oh, that is true. That did happen. When Bird says Magic is better than him, the masses will go with that. Just like Kobe over LeBron. Remember, LeBron said Kobe was better than him in his prime.
Yeah, like 2010, I think that's when he said that. He said Kobe was the best player.
2009 on ESPN.
Close enough. 2009.
Yeah, in 2009.
Killer 6'9".
Yeah,
we got a
in
historian
ESPN
here.
interview.
Encyclopedia.
There is so much blasphemy am I hearing. Like, there is so much asinine take. Like, my goodness.
Who had the
Like,
asinine takes?
First, like, where do I begin? The Kobe conversation or the Magic conversation? Where do you all want me to start?
Whichever one was worse. Whichever one was worse.
Like, what do you mean by differing to other? Like, differing to other, like, what do you mean by it? Define it.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Kobe and Shaq?
Yes, define. What do you mean by differing to...
Deferring is basically if you see a guy on the up and coming, me acknowledging he's on the up and coming, and me taking a lesser role because of that, because I want that other dude to excel. So Shaq did that. Shaq did that in 06 for Dwayne Wade. There's no reason that he couldn't have done the same thing for Kobe Bryant.
It's ego. That's why. It's because of ego. Like
let me say, I know about that. So it's allowing a guy score 28 fucking point when you are MVP candidate in 2001 is not differing, is being equivalent. If I remember correctly, in 2002, Kobe and Shaq have same amount of point. In 2003, look at back there. The leading scorer of Lakers was Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
He was already differing to Kobe. Mm-hmm. In playoff, he multiple time he differs to Kobe.
But there's a difference. There's a difference between deferring and because that's numbers, right? Deferring as in the game plan of running the offense through this guy. Because in 01, even though Kobe did have 29, Shaq was the offense was getting ran through Shaquille O'Neal, correct?
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
I mean,
in 2002,
it was like one offense. Yeah, in 2000. In 2002, yeah, I think in the very first year, the offense was primarily Shaq oriented. But from the next season alongward, when Ron Harper role got decreased and Glenn Rice got traded, and the roster essentially changed. Like Derek Fisher became the starting point guard. The team dynamic changed. Like it wasn't as much of an offense which is primarily involved with Shaq. Like Kobe was, you could say Kobe was 49% involved and Shaq was 51% involved. You could say that.
No, so I believe that's a 1A and 1B scenario. But what we're talking about is the schematics of the team, right? Even though it's a 1A and 1B scenario, they were running through Shaq. They were building through Shaq. That's how the Lakers were. That's how they operated through Shaquille O'Neal. Throughout the 04, the 03 and 04 season, Kobe Bryant wanted to be that guy. Kobe Bryant wanted to have that role, and Shaquille O'Neal had an unwillingness to allow him for the offense to be ran through him. Even though that the points per game are on par with each other,
I
it doesn't.
think
That doesn't.
he
That doesn't.
kinda
That doesn't.
allow him though.
No, no, 100%.
Like
No. It's a difference. It's a difference between allowing somebody to get off and actually letting the guy be the best player of the team. Right? Right? Like
wait a minute.
a lot of people would say that Steph Curry was the best player of the Golden State Warriors.
The
Right?
screen is hanging, my goodness. Wait
What
a
happened?
second.
He's lagging. That's what he said. He's lagging.
Dub, I think it just comes down to winning. Like at the time, like I think you're correct though. It's like it goes down to ego. Like at the time when Kobe was still playing with Shaq, he still was. It was like towards the end of his. It was like towards the end of his peak, meaning it's like the logic of he still believes he got it. He has it. Going to Miami, I think that's when you acknowledge like I'm not doing so well. I'm still gonna be like as down as I am, but I'm not gonna be doing it as that same
The
caliber
player
as I was
you're
doing.
not what you used to be.
Exactly. So like I think that time is like acknowledgement of saying like, oh, like I have to let this young guy like take that bigger role.
Mhm.
If he knew that, if he had the same mentality with Kobe, I think it'll be totally different. But I think it's just bad timing. It was just bad timing with him.
I think it was bad timing too. I agree with that. But in my head, I'm looking at Shaquille O'Neal. You could have had literally a Kareem and Magic all over again with the Lakers, right?
Mhm.
If he would have just had shown a willingness to allowing Kobe Bryant to become who he was, I think they could have dominated
But
for
that's
a
the
longer amount of
problem
time.
when that's the problem when you make these duos, trios, these
Too much
super teams.
ego.
It's just too much ego. Like I give so much praise to the Warriors franchise because of the fact that they put aside everything and their main goal was to only win.
Mhm.
Like it takes so much mentally to have 4 all-star players to all just have one goal and come to an agreement of saying we don't care about the numbers, we don't care about the media, we only care about the end goal, which is I want that ring on my finger.
It all comes down to sacrifice. I mean, Shaq at the time, he should have treated Kobe a lot better. Also, in Shaq's last year, it was reported that he wanted $100 million. Dr. Buss at the time was like, no, we're going to give it to Kobe. And Kobe at that time was about to leave LA, and he even admitted he and Vanessa, they were looking at houses in Chicago. But once he heard that Shaq demanded the trade, he was like, oh, well, there goes Chicago. I might as well stay in LA. But I think Shaq should have treated Kobe a little bit better, a lot better. And Shaq just basically took Kobe for granted.
It's that too, but like again, like even though like we don't know exactly like the whole story and all that stuff, I think it also comes down
No,
to
that's what Kobe said. That's what Kobe admitted to.
Got you. I want to follow up with that. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I also think like he got his ego from being at the time like if you're getting referred to as the most dominant big man of all time, like that's obviously gonna get into your head. Like in your mind, you're thinking like if people are saying I'm the most dominant big man, who am I to say like who can stop me at that point?
The media still loves Shaq. You're right, because the media even at that time still thought that Shaq had better days ahead. When there were also some people saying that maybe this is not the case, and then once we seen them in Miami, that's when we seen maybe the better days are dwindling right now.
Exactly. I got a problem. I've been listening to a lot of people with their takes on Jokic, and I'm just getting to a point where it's just annoying, like listening to them. Not y'all, but it seems like to me the rest of the world is giving Jokic a huge slap in the face. Like, what is it about Jokic you don't like? Was it because he was drafted in the second round? Because he plays in a small market like Denver, and their games are late at night?
I don't think it's that. It's Tim Duncan got the same slack for the way he played as well. Like Tim Duncan wasn't a flashy guy. Tim Duncan wasn't a guy that was really eye soaring, and not a lot of people was really had him in favor, right? And Jokic is having the same thing done to him. Jokic is not the most flashy guy. Jokic is not the guy that's really gonna appeal to the visually aesthetic crowd masses. He's not. So people aren't gonna rank him as high mainly for that reasoning. So that's just all that's happening with Jokic. It's literally Tim Duncan all over again.
Comparing that to like a Curry game, like Curry hitting a step back 3 to either ice the game or to tie the game. That's gonna be all over every social media platform, right? Jokic won't do that necessarily. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying instead of hitting that step back 3, he'll make the winning pass. He'll make the winning hockey assist. And
he'll hit the easy shot. He'll hit the
The
easy
hockey
shot a
assist
lot
is
of
not
times.
gonna
Exactly,
go on a
exactly.
highlight page.
He'll go for the winning play, but not the highlight winning play, and that's what people
Exactly.
overlook, and they don't appreciate that. Like today, it's all about flair. Like look at Zion. Like this man's like injured almost half the time, and yet people still post on social media saying like, "Oh, like remember when this was happening?"
I think you guys are overcomplicating it.
And what do you
I
think
mean,
it
look
is?
at- well,
People are putting Jokic on a pedestal of these all-time greats, and he hasn't won anything. So the
Exactly.
people who are opposed to that are going to disagree with it wholeheartedly and say this guy hasn't done anything that Kobe Bryant has done, hasn't done anything that Shaq has done, hasn't done anything that Larry Bird or Magic Johnson or Tim Duncan or whoever have done. Why are you guys putting him on this pedestal? He hasn't done anything to deserve it. That's all it is. It's not that
But
they
those are the
hate
guys that just watch,
Jokic
basically,
or
but
they
those are the
don't
guys,
think
those are
he's
not
good. They think people like me are overrating him and doing things too early. So what they are saying is he hasn't done anything to be put on that level. So you guys are going way too far, saying these
But those
things
are the
way
guys that
too
only look
soon.
at the
That's it.
highlights. Those are not the guys that watch the game. Like that's the difference, I think. Like I'm not saying you overrate him, nor am I saying I overrate him as well. But I
Wait,
say
that's not true though, Mars. I'm not gonna lie.
That is
Because
100% how
no,
it
no,
is.
I
those
think
people that
that's that's another reason, right? Right, but I think there's also a reason because it's not just the all-time greats; it's also the current day players too. Jokic gets put under. I mean, look what just happened, bro. The dude got drafted damn near second to last, bro. There's a reason for that. Like, it's not just the all-time level that you guys are holding him to; it's also the current level that people have a problem with. You saying that he's top 3, you saying that he's top 5. A lot of people have a problem with him being that high. So it's not just the all-time thing; it's also the way that people
wins
rank him currently.
Because
matter.
he hasn't won anything. It's the same
Wins-
reason. It's just
Wins
different.
matter. The
Yeah,
Had
same reason why
Jokic,
people
he
have
if
Shaq
Jokic
over
won a
Bird.
hasn't won anything.
championship,
It's the
then
same
I
thing.
think people would give their approval of him.
Exactly. It's all going to come down to winning. People are going to say until he wins, they're not going to put him over the likes of Giannis, Steph,
It's
KD,
true though. Like
maybe
wins
even
matter.
basically
LeBron. That's just how it is.
The same reason
that's
people have
basically
Shaq
how
over Bird is the same reason. It's the same reason why people don't want to rate Jokic. Is because when at the end of the day, who has the rings? Who has the wins? Like, because
So
I
do
can
you
count.
think if Jokic
I mean,
wins
that
a ring,
matters.
If Jokic wins a ring, a lot more people will come around. Not to the level I'm at, where I think he's peaking as a
But they'll
top 10
start to
offensive
like
player.
they'll
Yeah,
start to
they
They'll
come
start
around.
coming around to
They'll
the
definitely come around.
Jokic
because like
agenda.
think about it. Like who?
I don't think a lot of people like Jokic. That's the thing. That's my thing, Mars. I think a lot of people just don't. I think the media loves Jokic for some reason, but I
he's
don't
not
think
asshole.
people like Jokic's game. I'm
And when you
serious.
mean people, Dub, are you talking about his contemporaries?
Contemporaries, just the masses of people, they just don't like his game like that.
Because
That's my thing.
there are some
He's
people
kind of like
like
a Tim
Nick
Duncan when
Wright,
it comes
for
to
an
that.
example. Like if we talk about Chris Mad Dog Russo with his boring takes, I mean Nick Wright does Jokic a complete disservice by saying he's like the most boring MVP like ever.
I mean, he
There's
kind of
people
is.
who really feel that way, bro. Like
Because he's not
they
Duncan.
look at
He's
they look.
a
I think
7-foot
we're
guy
all
as
right. I'm
passionate
not gonna
as
lie.
Duncan.
I think we're all right in a sense where I think all of the things that we're saying is correct. Where people don't like the way he look. They don't like the way that he plays basketball. They don't like the way it looks. Also, winning. He hasn't won as well. Put him on a level like KD, LeBron, Steph,
But those are
yada
the guys
yada
that
yada
only
yada.
look at them and look for the highlights. Those are those people that criticize him for saying he's not fun to watch. He's not like anything.
Right.
Are the ones that look at the 30-second highlight reels. You look at a game as an avid basketball fan that watches games like on the daily. I watch Nugget games and I get excited to see Jokic play because it's like he does those winning plays, but
Not a lot of people do, bro. I promise you, bro.
And there are those who feel like Embiid is just better than Jokic, all because
he has more flair. He has more flair.
Because he plays defense. Because he plays defense.
Yeah,
Which is
basically, yeah.
heavily overrated, but it's
It's
because he plays
basically
defense.
It's heavily overrated because outside of that, Jokic is more available than Embiid. Jokic has gone farther as the number one option. He's about to win his 3rd consecutive MVP. Right now, he's averaging a triple-double.
Yeah.
I love Joel Embiid, but if you had to build a franchise around Jokic or Embiid, it's not even close. I'm taking Jokic
that's
any
facts.
day of the week.
Okay, so
Mm,
while we're on this Nuggets talk, can we please acknowledge the fact that like why I find it so hard and so confusing why people still believe that the Nuggets are like the clear front runner to win to like make it to the finals. I
they're
cannot
not going to the finals. They're not going there.
I think Phoenix are the favorites in the West.
There's got
They should be
Phoenix.
anyway. They
Or the
should be.
Lakers.
Exactly.
Get out, man. I'm not hearing about no
But I don't
Lakers
think it's
anymore, man.
Speaking of Los Angeles, how do y'all
Lakers
feel
leaving.
about Russ coming to the Clippers?
I mean, they might as well just kept John Wall.
It's good for him. You don't have to buy a new house.
Nah,
No, I
John
mean it's
Wall-
great for
they're
Russ
not
because he
gonna
gets
John
to
Wall is not
reunite
the
with
same.
Paul George and stay in LA. That's about it. I think he can definitely bring some energy and motivation as long as he's willing to accept whatever role the Clippers give him.
He's gonna come out as like the eighth man because I don't think they're gonna change the fact that Terrence Mann's.
Bro, at this point, he's gonna accept any role.
He's gonna be above Bones Highlands in the rotation.
Oh yeah,
He
and
should be.
Dub. Remember we talked
Didn't they
about
trade Bones?
the previous
Yeah,
players.
Bones is
No,
in
they
LA.
traded him there. They
Oh,
traded him
Clippers
there. They
traded
traded him
Clippers.
there.
Yeah.
They traded him
What'd you
there.
say,
Yeah,
Justin? My
keeper.
bad.
No, remember the last open gym? I think it was like either the last one or the other one. We were talking about Kevin Love might be joining the Heat, and now he did.
I know. I mean, I think it's a good move for us. We get.
I like it
great-
a lot. It stretches. It
Yeah.
gives you guys another shooter. It gives you guys a valuable big of that.
You guys
It
on
gives
the
us a
first
good
round exit to
rebounder.
second
Have
round
that.
exit.
Yeah.
Those are our first round exit.
Second round, hopefully. Hopefully this will make us a second round. I'm not high on this, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. Who we'll face? We'll face. No, we might get a bounce out the first round. Now.
Mars, let me ask you this though: do you still have the Sixers going to the conference finals?
Yes. I think they beat because they're the 3 seed right now, so they'd play Milwaukee in round 2. I think they beat Milwaukee in round 2. So yeah, I think they go to the conference
I
finals.
saw on Twitter the other day like
Milwaukee?
coincidence conspiracy thing, and they said like the past 3 All-Star games, every MVP of the All-Star game ended up winning the championship, and because like Tatum like won the All-Star game, the MVP, that he's like by destiny has to win the NBA. Like he's gonna win it all this year.
I think they are. I'm not
Oh
gonna
yeah,
lie.
I
Boston's been my
have
pick.
seen something.
You know what I'm
like
talking about though, right?
that.
Yeah.
Like, last
I
year
don't
it
know
was
how he's gonna
Curry.
trade to the Lakers.
That it was
Giannis.
Giannis.
I think Kawhi won it in 2020, not 2019. But
Yeah, he
I
won
could
it
be wrong.
20, so like that ruins the Lakers one. But I saw it and I was like, I don't know.
Does
that's
it? LA went to a city in LA.
Oh,
I still got Denver, Milwaukee for the finals.
I'm not.
I got Phoenix
Hold on.
and
Can I ask you something?
Philly.
Can I ask you something?
I got Lakers and Celtics.
So
Ugh.
I'm not denying the fact that Nuggets have the potential of making it to the finals, but what do you think that people like see that like makes them like such a bold prediction, like a guarantee, like a finals appearance?
I think, like, I still believe that the team, other than Phoenix, the Clippers could challenge them, assuming if Kawhi and PG stay healthy. I just like Denver's chances now with Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. I just think if Jamal Murray can give you performances like he did in the playoffs, not exactly like in the bubble, but if he can give you good enough performances in the playoffs, I think Denver should be enough. I just think Jokic just needs more offensive help, and now so far he's gotten that offensive help. Phoenix, we gotta wait and see. I'm still unsure with KD. I think KD will do just fine. Maybe Phoenix conference
KD coming
semis,
back?
conference finals at best.
No, I think they're a second round exit at best.
When's KD coming back?
Sometime
This
after,
week.
sometime soon. I don't know.
I think
I think he's coming back
they're
this
second
week.
round at best. Like because I saw their last game before the All-Star break, which was against the Clippers, and even though we haven't seen KD, signing Terrence Ross was a big signing for them. Like I like the way how he comes off as a sixth man of just a pure scorer.
I do too.
You can see how much they need a backup point guard. I mean, you could say like, oh, Cameron Payne is out, but they need a facilitator in the second unit. They need it horrendously bad.
Yeah.
Like I like the role that Josh Okogie stepping up to. Like they lost Mikal, they lost Cam Johnson, but Josh Okogie coming up as their next defender, as their next like hustle guy. I really like that, but their second unit needs a playmaker. Like it's so terrible how they run the offense.
I think they'll be fine though. I'm not gonna hold you.
Not fine enough for the
I think
finals.
that's a decider. I genuinely believe that's the
I just hope when the Suns do make out the West, the people like you guys who are saying they're gonna not make out the second round.
I'll come on record.
As long as I don't hear super team talk when they
No. I will
I
say
said
that.
conference semis or conference finals with the Suns. That's all I said.
I just don't want to start hearing super team talk when everyone said this.
No. I won't.
No. You won't hear that from me. No.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
But I'll come on the show
Yeah,
again.
you still gonna hear it.
I was wrong. I will openly admit.
That's great. I look
Likewise.
forward to seeing you when you're on.
But like, okay, so I keep bringing back up this Denver thing. like there's been multiple times where we have seen number 1 seeds and like just be so disappointing. Like, what makes Denver any different?
Nothing.
Talking about
Jokic is one of the 5 best players in the world, so most people think
The
he's
West.
gonna get it done. And the
What
West
about
is
Aaron
the West
Gordon
is
as
probably
far
the
as his
most up in
improvement?
the air. Aaron Gordon, I don't think he's improved per se. I think he's in a better spot within the Denver
Really?
offense. I think he's being used better. I don't think he's become a much better player. I think the way he's just allowed to run the break freely, and the way, I mean, Jokic is just the best at finding cutters. You have a lob threat like Aaron Gordon. It's just a match made in heaven.
So
I don't
if
think he's necessarily
first
got
round,
better.
if Denver plays Golden State, you know how Curry does against the Nuggets. Like, you know how they do. You know how they handle business. Do you think Denver will make it out against Golden State first round?
If they play Golden State first round, they might lose in round 1. And I would
No,
be
so
Okay,
now they're
what
gonna
about
lose
Portland?
round 1
Portland also
because
owns
they're
the
playing Golden
if they
State.
play
it's a
Golden
matchup. It's
State.
about
Yeah,
matchups.
playoffs is about
I feel you. I
matchups.
feel you.
And if
Okay, so
they
what about
lose,
Portland?
if they
Portland
lose,
owns the Nuggets as well. Portland owns the Nuggets as well. Like, what about them?
that's not true. They lost to Denver the last time they played them in 2021, and the
They,
team is
they
worse.
did, but like you can see how like Dame pops off.
Dame played them in 2019 and didn't pop off. So it's up in the air. But I think they beat Portland just because I think Portland is just a much worse team than Golden State, and they don't have the variety of weapons that Golden State has. But it all depends. Everything Denver's title hopes is enough. There's no questions about the offense. There's no questions. The
It's just
questions with
defense.
Denver is about how their defense will hold up in the playoffs. If their defense can tread water and be decent and average, I think they probably go to the finals.
How
If
did
it
they
can't, they lose.
Are they bad defensively?
No, this year they're middle of the pack. They've improved defensively. That's why I think I have more faith in them this year.
Are they top 10?
I doubt it. Let me see.
Probably 14th, 15th.
If I had to guess, I think it was 12.
13.
Oh wow, I was right.
Close enough.
Yeah, so if they can be an average defense with that offense, I think they can make it to the conference finals, maybe make out the West. But
if MPJ steps up defensively, I think they'll have a better chance, but he probably won't.
Question: what's next for Ben Simmons? Because it seems like to me his basketball career is over. What says y'all?
Retirement.
Yeah, he has enough money.
Because yeah, Lowe said I would give Ben Simmons money underneath the table if you retire or amnesty or whatever.
Have him join Dwight Howard in Thailand. Or Taiwan.
If Ben's, in my opinion, just this is shot in the dark. If Ben Simmons isn't going to be in the NBA, he's not going to play basketball. I just don't think he would. I think once the NBA is done,
have one hell of a career as a model.
Whatever he does, it won't be playing basketball.
Isn't he a gamer? He'll be a Twitch streamer.
Probably. I just don't think it would be basketball. That's all it is.
I don't know. I've never seen such a downfall of such a player.
It is what it is.
I mean, you could say James Wiseman for Mars's case, but
there was no downfall.
Wiseman.
There was no up. You can't fall down when you were never up.
Yeah, he wasn't.
That's crazy, bro.
He was just down. He was just down. That's all it was.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Actually, that's actually.
Shout out
Hey,
to him,
appreciate you guys for joining up though, but I gotta allow some other people to get up here, man.
Anytime, Mars, give ticket to work today.
Oh yeah, facts.
Give me that work. Y'all be
Facts.
easy, bro.
I'm eating popcorn while watching that.
That's great. Oh, bro. Who's discounting Jokic? A lot of people do. I'm not gonna
a lot of people seem to be loving
Ticket
it.
TV. There we go. Mad Max. Embiid always beats and outplays Joker, whatever the fuck his name is. Joker when he sees him and outside of the bubble. Embiid has been to the same rounds as Joker and made the postseason more.
They've both been in the playoffs the same amount of times since the bubble. They both made it in 2021 and 2022.
Hey man, I'm just reading it.
Yeah.
Got you. Matt Max and Murray was viewed as the best player in the bubble when the Nuggets made the conference finals. Embiid always been the clear best player in his teams.
Anyone who thinks Jamal Murray was the best player on that Denver Nuggets team, I just respectfully disagree. I get Jamal Murray had that great series against Utah where he exploded a couple of games, sure. But that team's ran entirely through Jokic. The Utah series, sure, you can say Jamal Murray blitzed that drop coverage of Rudy Gobert. Fine, no argument. The Clippers series was clearly Jokic being the best player on the team. The Lakers series, Jokic, all that defensive attention he was garnering was allowing guys on the Denver Nuggets to have more offensive opportunity. I don't know how you can say that Jokic wasn't the best player on that team.
I don't know. Jamal Murray led him in every category against that series, bro. Except for rebounds, I think.
These stat nerds, man. Jesus.
Hey, man, I'm just saying. The numbers guys. Ben Simmons going to...
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. Bro, let's get... Yeah, Timabo, you there?
I don't think his camera is available.
Yeah, I don't think...
Might just be frozen for him.
Let's go. We got Ty in the building. What's good, fellas? What's good?
What up, dog?
Chilling.
Hey, man.
Hello.
You're back.
Man, I'm back, man. Last time I got hanged. Yeah, the connection is fucked up right now.
Okay. Got you. Do you want to continue where you left off? Because I forgot.
Yeah, so I think I'm personally a believer of a concept that Ben Taylor coined long time ago, that there is nothing such as absolute number one option. I believe in that way of thinking. So I don't think that there was an absolute number one on any team. Like if you watch a Lakers game right now, anyone can be the cause of winning of us. Sometimes Dennis Schroeder lead us to winning, despite LeBron or AD being the best player on our team. And similar thing can happen in a Nuggets game. Sometimes MPJ blow off for 30 points, and it can happen. So I personally do not believe.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I do believe in number one options. Number one options are mainly just who your team is building around one, who your team is building their offense around two, where the offense is just directly flowing through. That's your number one option. That's exactly.
I get that.
And a player who's doing it more consistently too.
And your consistency is key too, right? There's games where Mars just brought up the example. Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray went phenomenal in the bubble series, but he would say that
Bubble Murray.
Yeah, Bubble Murray, but he would say that Jokic was the number one guy. Jokic was the best player,
Number
mainly because
was.
the offense was running through Jokic. The defensive attention was on Jokic for the majority of the time, which allowed Jamal Murray to get off. So, yeah, I mean, number one option.
I get it.
That's a real thing.
I got that, and fair enough if you wanna view in that way. But yeah, I think personally speaking, from watching a lot of game on the early 2000 Lakers of Kobe and Shaq, in its first season, it was essentially Shaq go to the low post or create the shots for the shooter through his passing. It was like that, but in 01, I think Kobe got a lot of freedom to create shots from his own whenever he have the possession. So, I'm not 100% sure that I can say that 2001 to 2004, the offense was ultimately around Shaq. I think Kobe played.
It was a 1A, 1B scenario, right?
1A, 1B scenario.
Yeah.
I get it. I got that, but fair enough. But I think that the idea behind was that in 01, when Kobe was leading the team, when Shaq was out and Kobe was leading the team, the idea origin that they were not as successful as they should be. Similarly, in 03, when Kobe was leading the team, they were 5th seed that year in 2003. So essentially, Kobe kind of got the stigma that how much impactful this guy essentially is. There was stigma behind him. So that is why I kind of gave pushback on the idea. It was definitely a wrong point of view.
Okay.
So and Kobe wasn't that. He's saying Kobe wasn't that impactful.
Yep, that was There was discussion around that in media in 01 and 03 that like in 2000, when even Shaq himself make a petty comment about it, that when offense run through me, we won 67 and 50, and City was celebrating. We are now 18 and 13, 18 and 50. Sorry, figure it out. There was stigma around it that is this guy volume scoring can lead us to somewhere. There was the stigma behind Kobe in very early phase of his career that how impactful he is.
He had to be very impactful for them to win. Have to do a 3-peat.
What you laughing at, Dub?
The chat's just funny, bro.
Chat is funny.
The chat is crazy, bro.
For a team for them to 3-peat, I think Kobe had to be very impactful.
I agree. Kobe was impactful, absurdly impactful. Like,
what you?
I'm confused. So what's the argument being made?
Yeah, what's the argument? Kobe was definitely.
I mean, my argument is Kobe was heavily involved in offense, and my argument, so I personally don't believe that offense was completely Shaq. That's my point of view.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows that it wasn't completely Shaq, but
Dub is just saying it just ran through Shaq more. It was more, get Shaq his touches, let him dominate, and then adjust to the defense and play off that. That was the mantra of the team is to go through Shaq.
Yeah, but in playoff itself, Kobe was leading many times. Kobe was flat out best player in 2001 playoff. I will die on that hill. That 2001 in playoff, Kobe Bryant was the best player of Lakers. I will die on that hill. Similarly, in 2003, when we were battling Spurs and losing 6 games, the best player of our team was Kobe in 2003. I will die on that grave. And similarly, in 2004, Kobe was the best player. Against Timberwolves, against Spurs, Kobe was best player many times.
All right. Yeah. I like this. I like this talk. Yeah. You spitting right now. I'm not gonna hold you. He was better than Shaq, right?
I agree.
Many times he was better than Shaq, and many times he was the primary offensive guy. The only time I would say that Shaq was heavily involved in offense was 2000 and 2002. Shaq was the reason we won against King in Game 6 when he that was miracle shit, that he made fucking 15 feet throw in Game 6 in 2002 against King in Western Conference Final. Yeah.
Fire. Anybody else care to comment on that?
No, I agree. Kobe was the best player.
2003?
Many times.
No, in 2001 and 2002.
2001 and 2002, Kobe was the best player.
I think everybody just goes straight to the final. So Shaq was the best player in the final. So they look.
I would say in 2002 against King, the best player was Shaq. Against King and Nets, the best player was Shaq. Though Nets is debatable because Shaq was guided by Big Mac and Kobe was guided by Jason fucking Kidd, who was in his best season.
I think Shaq said Kobe was the best player in the world, and I was like in 2000.
Many time. Not just in that, he have said that many time on several occasions.
Yeah.
Got you. I got a super chat right here. What makes Jokic more valuable to his team than Fox? I think his team just got better than this year, and they've been
Stop doing drugs, kid.
Nothing. Fox is more valuable.
That was mad.
Kids should not do drugs like this in these ages. Like, my God, what are we doing?
Was that Big Ox Burner right there?
It had to be.
It had to be Big Ox Burner right there.
That had to be.
The Kings chats is getting out of hand, bro. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm glad for the Kings and their progressions this year, but let's be real, bro. This team ain't gonna do nothing in the postseason.
We will be 6th seed and we will own you all again, like we did for century.
You're a Lakers fan, right?
Yep.
You think the Lakers could beat the Kings?
Easily. Hell fucking yes.
No, I mean that's about the only team that the Lakers can beat.
Lakers gotta
Really?
make it first.
They got to make it first.
Yeah.
And I don't
Listen,
think
Yeah.
they'll make it.
I told y'all the script. I already told y'all the script, bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm telling you.
Hey, Maz. I would say though, Maz, if we meet in first round against Denver, I like our chances. I like our chances. Not gonna lie.
I think you guys have a solid chance against Denver. I don't think Denver are unbeatable. I just think the Lakers have to worry about making the playoffs before they start talking about playoff matchups. That's it.
We are 100% making.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's a guarantee. I don't think
Nuggets
it's
Dub.
go down in the
Back to the original topic that started the show. The magic slender, man. Why you doing that, bruh?
It's not slander, it's just realization.
Like,
I agree.
I can
agree with
easily
Dub.
make...
I agree with most of that talk. I think Magic is right there, 10, 11. In my personal opinion.
That's such an asinine take.
How?
Oh my god, this is
How?
bad take.
How?
Y'all,
Like-
Dub, you might think Magic overrated. I think
If you refer as a talent, like
Sorry about that.
nobody's overrated. Term overrated is overrated.
no, I think
Like I don't like the term
I hate when
overrated
everybody
because
puts
it's
names in
most
their top three.
because it's an arbitrary term and not an objective term. I don't like the term overrated that much.
I just want to know why it's asinine
Like-
to have Magic at 10 or 11. I don't know how that's asinine.
Wait.
I
You don't
think
like
I personally
wait. You don't like the term overrated? Like you don't think
Yeah,
that things
I
can be
don't
over
like
you,
it.
do you think things can be overvalued? Or right? So if you think
It
like
it can be over.
overvalued, so that's overrated, right?
He just doesn't like how people use overrated for anything.
Like
That's it.
niggas call Godfather overrated.
I gotta go. Yo.
Oh.
Did he just say that?
In February as well, no comment.
Wow.
Sorry about that, guys. We're gonna keep it pushing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Y'all
I don't know if Lakers Nation can support that.
What we doing up here, Dub?
Yeah, he's wilding for that one. I ain't gonna
Hey,
even
wow,
lie.
what we doing?
He's wild for that one.
What we doing?
He said it so casually too.
They work differently over there. Oh.
It rolled off the tongue, man. He just let it go.
That's what I'm saying.
That's just part of the vocabulary, I guess.
Yes, it sounded like it.
I apologize for everybody listening, bro. Yeah, y'all be easy, bro. I'm at work now, trying not to laugh from Quabe. That's dope. Can't. All right. Yeah, y'all got it. Whatever. Yeah, y'all got it.
Oh, I forgot what he was on. What was he on?
I don't know.
No, I want to
Johnson.
ask
We were on Magic
Johnson a
Johnson.
question real quick.
Go ahead, Uzi. Go ahead.
So, what y'all think about that last game y'all seen from the Lakers versus the Pelicans?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
No, I seem to only watch the Lakers when they play trash in news. Every time they play well, I don't seem to be watching. So
Yeah, I mean, just in my opinion, I think I liked how we operated, especially on defense. I think the defense was amazing that last game, especially with Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis. I just think now we got those pieces. I think we could make some real noise, to be honest. Like Dub said, the script is in set now.
But what about LeBron missing the rest of the season with his thumb injury?
LeBron's not missing no rest of the season.
It looked severe, man.
No, bro, he got his finger caught in the room. If LeBron,
he might be missing time. He might be missing time.
If he misses any game because of that, bro, he's soft.
They
play Golden State on Thursday. You think he plays?
Yeah,
I do think he plays because
with that major hand injury.
I mean, I've got my finger caught in the rim before and I've been straight, so I don't know. I think Bron should be good.
Yeah, but you're not playing NBA basketball.
You should not miss.
That is true.
Mark, stop trolling, bro. He gonna play.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, he broke the record and missed every game after that until the penalty game. I don't know. So with this hand injury, he might miss more time. Who knows?
I mean, we only got 23 games left. We don't got time for none of that.
Yeah, nah, it's go time. If he don't play,
okay. So how many games? The last 23. How many do you think LeBron will play?
I think LeBron plays like I
think he
say
plays
19 to
20.
21 games.
Yeah, I think he plays 20.
What?
For
For
Barring
the
any
rest of the
injury,
season, right?
Yeah,
for
for the rest of the season.
I
He's
mean,
playing
of
the
course,
whole. He's playing the
can't
whole
predict.
thing.
Yeah,
Playing
he
the whole
playing the
thing.
whole thing.
Dub, you're crazy. You think LeBron isn't missing?
At least
LeBron
20.
is playing the whole thing.
And
Yes.
it depends on what position they get to. If they shoot up really quick, then he might take some days off. If he's in a comfortable position, he feels like he's in a good spot.
Hey,
But
Mars,
as
you
far
really
as
need to worry about your
them,
Warriors.
They're not my Warriors. Stop saying that. I don't care about them. I genuinely don't care.
It's crazy how people just switch off their teams just because they're not playing.
I am a bandwagon. I will switch easily. I don't care.
So who you a fan now of?
Houston.
I'm a Warriors fan.
Yeah, so speak to him. He can worry about it.
In the playoffs,
So why was
he'll
he
be
getting
back
teed up
on
for
the
the Wiseman
bandwagon.
trade?
He'll jump back on. Where
Oh,
is
because
it?
Wiseman, because I still watch the Warriors a lot. I watch a lot of teams a lot, and I knew James Wiseman had no right to be on the Golden State Warriors. Now he's in Detroit. He can vibe.
Warriors winning the championship.
No right being in Golden State is crazy.
They're not winning the championship. They're not winning the championship.
Golden State not winning nothing, bro. They're not even making out.
If the Warriors win the championship, I will be flabbergasted. That would be the craziest championship run of all time because they're about to be an 8 seed.
Yeah, and guess what?
They ain't doing it.
That's Curry's legacy even more.
Hey, Mars, I got a question for you. Like, if LeBron, like, let's say he hoops at like a 2020 level, and this team actually just happens to win the championship, does this move the needle for any of you guys?
Move the needle in terms of what?
In terms of the GOAT debate between him and Jordan.
He's already my GOAT.
Yeah, ready to go.
Yeah,
oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
I'm not gonna lie. I think a lot of people are turning around for LeBron James, bro. I'd seen Kevin Garnett the other day say like, dude's 38 doing this, bro. It's like, he said what?
I seen that video too.
He's like, what can we do?
I don't think that means anything.
I think it's a testament.
I value longevity a lot. That's why LeBron is my GOAT.
I hate how people try to discredit his longevity. I hate that.
Longevity
for 20 years. That's why he got that.
Do it make you a better player? I mean, it just mean you played for a long time.
I think it gives you. I don't think.
I think it's more valuable to play at an extremely high level for longer, in my opinion.
Right. It don't mean you played for a long time. And in terms of LeBron's longevity, he played elite for a long time. That's the difference. Like a lot of people play for a long time. You got Vince Carter who played, extended amount of years, but you saw a big difference in Vince Carter from his prime to, his last seasons. With LeBron, sure, it's been a fall off, but it's not been precipitous. It's been, a little bit of the decline, but he's still putting up crazy numbers. The defense, okay, I give you that. The defense has fell off substantially, but as far as offensively, he's still impactful. He gotta start winning a little more. People gonna say, oh, he lost. He didn't make the playoffs. That's gonna be a big knock if he doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think his longevity could really be like a double-edged sword. Because just as much as it can help his legacy, it can hurt his legacy.
I don't think
anything that happens right now can hurt his legacy. I feel like his legacy is.
I'm gonna say it can help it. Then why can't it hurt? Because if people gonna still look at him as a top 10 player, then he should still be treated like a top 10 player.
Yeah, but if they don't make the playoffs, then I don't really think you can put him in a top 10. Say he's a top 10 player. He's still balling. He's still very good. But if he don't make the playoffs, to say he's a top 10 player is a little, barring injuries. I think that's a little bit much to say he's top 10.
So you don't think Steph Curry was top 10 in 2021?
For me?
No.
No, I said barring injuries, right?
Steph missed all, but Steph played every game except 9.
He's talking about his team around him, though. His team
around him.
Who was hurt on Golden State?
Klay Thompson. That's it.
They played the whole year without him. That's fine.
That is a big piece of their system.
That's fine. That's fine. But that's fine. But I thought you meant like someone they had and then they lost him, not someone who wasn't there at the start. They knew they were playing without him. If you get what I mean.
But that still affects your team and it affects winning.
No, that's fine. I'm not saying it doesn't affect the team. I'm saying because for me it's different when you know you're going into a season and you've already prepared to not have that guy, compared to you lose that guy and you planned on having him and then he's not there. That makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think it makes a difference if you, for instance, if you lose Steph Curry at the beginning of the season, he's out for a year. That doesn't mean that you're going to be able to overcome that. You know what I'm saying?
But it changes, right? It changes. Like everyone knew Klay Thompson wasn't going to play the season, but everyone had their expectations for Golden State. Their expectation for Golden State was they were going to be a playoff team. They weren't going to be battling for the 8 seed the whole year. People thought they were going to be a top 5, top 6 seed. They ended up being the 7th seed, I think, and then they missed the playoffs. So people revised their expectations of the team without knowing, with knowing Clay wasn't going to be there, and they still underachieved those expectations.
Well, I just think that speaks to the impact of a Klay Thompson. That's all.
But Steph was still top 10.
Steph was still top 10. I'm just saying LeBron. When you're talking about impact, you saying LeBron, a top 10 player to me has to have some impact as well, impact on winning. So when you talk about LeBron not being able to lift his team in the situation they're in right now, and everybody stays healthy throughout the rest of the season, and they still don't make the playoffs, I think I would take him out of the top 10 as far as his impact. That's all I'm saying.
And then also, it's like there's not other players around the league that are not playing at a higher level than LeBron James or on the same level. Like back in 2021, there weren't that many players playing to Curry's level and what he was doing and how he was impacting the Golden State Warriors.
If that was the case, Mark, to me, I would say KD is the top 10 player then, because offensively and all those things, he meets the bar. But I would say some of his where he lacks is, I would say some of his impact on winning, whether that's because of leadership or whatever have you, then that takes him out of the top 10 for me. But as far as talent, getting buckets and all that, and just his play, I would argue that he's a top 10 player. So that's why I got to keep that same energy for LeBron as I would for KD.
Let me ask you this, Drew.
That's valid.
Let me ask you this, Drew. In 1978, no, 1977
Christ,
and
okay.
1976.
Yeah, Jesus.
Okay.
Was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar a top 10 player?
Was he a top 10
when
player?
he missed the playoffs?
Yeah, he was a top 10 player.
How? He missed the playoffs in back-to-back seasons in his prime.
One of them was because he broke his hand, but well.
Yeah, I was gonna say context is crazy.
No, I think that's part. I think he's overrated, but I think at that time he was a top 10 player.
So why
you think Kareem's overrated because people would just have him unanimously top 3, right?
Yes.
I think he shouldn't be a top 3 player all time.
Okay, no, that's good. But do you think LeBron James is top 10 right now?
Right now, no.
Jesus.
Why? Because his team is gonna miss the playoffs, right?
Because I think if he was top 10, then his team wouldn't be in this situation with the talent that he has.
So why can't that same logic apply to Kareem in his own top?
Because Kareem was still in his prime. LeBron, he putting up these good stats, but I don't think he's nowhere near the same player he was.
Nah, he's not in his prime.
In 2020, was he still in his prime?
No.
When is LeBron's
I
prime?
think the last year his prime was probably 2018.
That was the last year of his prime?
Oh, that's interesting.
After that, that's when I think he started to decline.
I think 2020 was the last year of his prime.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Not even 2021?
No, I think 2021 LeBron took a little dip in his game.
Remember, 2019 he missed the playoffs too.
He got hurt though.
Nah, he activated playoff mode. He was just a fraud.
He came back. Look, when he came back, where was they? Like 9th seed?
No, they weren't far off. And then
like
he came back.
Seed, it was like 1 or 2 games off the 8th seed. So, and they had like 30 games.
Mm-hmm.
He was losing to teams like some of the weakest teams in the league.
I'm not gonna lie. When I see LeBron James, I still think he's in his prime. The only dip in his game, I don't even think I don't really see any dips in his game. Actually,
right.
So when did LeBron's prime start? Just so I know.
Probably like the second or third year.
Playoff to me.
Second or third year is still in his prime, and year 20 is just insane.
That's why I'm
It's the PEDs. That's why.
I think D Wade had an impact on LeBron. I think he had a huge impact on LeBron as far as that. So as far as his skill set and everything, you could say his prime might have been his 3rd or 4th year, but I think his mentality changed after that D Wade, and that's when his real prime started as far as mentally and physically. But as far as just skills, for sure, you could say 3rd year he was at almost at his physical peak. Oh, even though his jump shot got better after that. So I wouldn't necessarily say his 3rd year is his prime. I give him a little bit later, and especially as far as mentality wise, I think it was after the Dwayne Wade, that first year with Dwayne Wade.
Yeah,
let me ask you this, right? Do you consider, when you talk about people's primes, are you comparing it to themselves? Or are you comparing it to like where the league is at, right? Because the way I rank primes is, if you're a top 10 or top 5 guy, I'm considering that part of your prime. That's me. That's always been me.
So did guys like Trevor Ariza just never have a prime?
No, well, that's different. So everybody's different. But when we're talking about these like top guys like LeBron, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, and all these guys, because those role players is different from everybody else. But those guys right there, like when I'm looking at your prime, I'm looking at when you was a top 5 and top 10 player and how long you was able to sustain that for. That's my
I
prime.
relate it to the player themselves. So, for example,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
how do I put it? I don't think Magic Johnson came into the NBA in 1980. I think he didn't hit his prime until like 1982, and then he left his prime. I think 1991 was the last year of his prime. It was also the last year he played, I think. But even though he was great in 1980, just seeing what he became, I saw there was a clear jump in who he was. So I would say those years were his prime years. Same thing with LeBron. I think his prime started in the 06 season, and I think it ended in 2020.
How about
I think
Duncan?
there's been a clear. Duncan entered the league, in my opinion, in his prime, and I think his prime ended probably 07. And I think he was still great from 08 onwards. I just think you could see a clear difference between Duncan in 07 and Duncan in 2011, in my opinion. That's why
Duncan played all 4 years, right? In college.
Yeah, I think he played all.
That's the same with
Wake Forest or whatever. I think he
played at Wake Forest.
Yeah, I think he played all 4.
Yeah, and that's the big difference between him and some of the younger players that come in after a year or 2 years. Tim Duncan was polished, so you can definitely say he came into the league at a peak prime level, damn near. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Speaking of Duncan, what do you guys think happens with his career if he actually ends up going to the Magic to go team up with T-Mac?
They win.
I think they win. I think they get a championship, maybe 2. I don't know, but I think it was better for his career to stay in San Antonio, in my opinion. But that's just in hindsight, I guess.
No, I think you're right. Maybe it is in hindsight, but even then, I think you're right because Tim Duncan having to shoulder a higher workload because throughout the San Antonio Spurs and his run, he was able to, he had other guys coming in, so he could take a lesser and lesser role, which prolonged his career. Him getting put on the Orlando Magic, him playing for as long as they probably would have lasted, he wouldn't have had that same level of opportunity of being on a team where you have good guys coming in and then you could have your role lessen and lessen to have as long as a career as he did. He wouldn't have had that on Orlando.
He would have had like a smaller window to win his championship.
100%. Yep. His window would have been much shorter. And maybe guys like Manu Ginobili probably would have been a better scorer than Paul George.
Oh, this question isn't about Manu Ginobili. Actually, that was
that take is crazy. Can you explain that?
I never said Manu was a better scorer than Paul George.
I'm talking about you think he's a better player though, right?
Oh yes.
That's what I'm saying. Can you explain that? Because that's what I don't understand.
I think because the way I value a player is your impact to the team, but I think the variety of roles Manu Ginobili could play in terms of when Tony Parker or Tim Duncan wasn't on the floor, the way he was able to elevate his offensive load, be the best, the creative player on the team, the first scoring option, still bring good defensive value. But then when Tony Parker was on the court, where he was able to play off the ball and be a floor spacer and a secondary creator, and then improve defensively when he had a lesser offensive load. And then when both of those guys were on the court, the way he was able to complement Tim Duncan, be able to create off of Tim Duncan being doubled in the post, and then he was able to space the floor. And then his defense was borderline elite when he had to share the court with those guys. Then, in my opinion, in the playoffs, when he got more minutes and he was more...
You say defense?
That's what I'm saying. To be honest, Mars, everything I'm hearing you say right now,
go ahead.
I feel like you could say all those same things for Paul George, but sometimes at a higher level. But continue.
And then I think when in the playoffs, I'm looking at how those Spurs teams performed with Manu Ginobili. I'm not saying it's because of him, because obviously he had great players around him.
Yeah.
But the way those teams were able to elevate with Manu Ginobili, and I think the way he was able to get to the rim at a higher level than Paul George, in my opinion, the way he was a much better passer and playmaker than Paul George, in my opinion, I think I just value what a guy like Manu Ginobili can bring to the table in a variety of different roles. In what I've seen, I would say I think he's a better player than Paul George prime for prime, in my opinion. But I don't think he clears him or anything. I just think I would prefer Manu Ginobili in my estimation.
Because I think the difference with me between Paul George and Manu Ginobili, when Paul George got the ball in his hands, I don't feel nothing. But I remember watching Ginobili, because I didn't like the Spurs. I remember watching Ginobili. Every time Ginobili got the ball in his hands, I was scared because he was so good. It's like every time he got the ball in his hands, something good always happened.
And I value playoff translation a lot. And Manu Ginobili, I mean, the way his scoring always seemed to get better in the playoffs. He was still an exceptionally efficient player. Obviously, I don't think any of you guys would argue that Paul George is a better passer than Manu Ginobili. I think you guys all agree Manu Ginobili is a better passer and playmaker than Paul George.
Here's what I think.
Just,
These
I just
past
think he's
Clipper
better.
years, you could argue.
It's different roles though too.
These
I
past
feel like
Clippers years, like Paul George has shown he could become a playmaker. He could become a lead guard.
Not Manu Ginobili.
I don't think he's
no,
proven
he's
that
not
yet.
as good as a playmaker. I'd agree with that, but also I think Paul George is looked at to be that guy, and Manu had that role a little bit, especially with the second team. He was looked at to come in and score at a high level, but it's a little different when you're the number one and on a lot of teams and the number one option as to being in a Manu Ginobili role, coming off the bench as a microwave or a player where he can kind of like freelance. So I'm not gonna hold it against Manu. He's a great player, but I don't know about the Paul George comparison. That's tough for me.
Yeah, because
I'm not gonna argue. I mean, if someone says Paul George is better than Manu Ginobili, I'm not gonna be like, oh wow, you're crazy. It's just me personally. I think I would rather have Manu Ginobili, but it's like I don't care regardless. I think they're both great.
Manu Ginobili in a number one role though. How would you feel about that?
I think he would excel. I think
it depends on what you put around him.
Right.
I think he could average 5 and 8.
Just as like your number one guy, you think Manu Ginobili could be that guy as a number one?
What's the expectations? A championship?
No, I don't think that team gets past the first.
What are
round.
your expectations for Paul George? You know what I mean? Like, and a similar role, I'm thinking like, who do you prefer, Manu Ginobili or Paul George as a number one? Who would you prefer?
As a number one,
depends on the situation. I prefer Manu Ginobili as my best player.
Okay, what type of situation would that have to be exactly?
I think you need defenders first of all. I think you need defenders. I think you need a big who can not necessarily be like an elite scorer, but someone who can create for themselves as a big. So
yeah,
for that time period, what big would like if you gave, for example, like if you put if you put Manu Ginobili on like those Jazz teams in the mid 2000s instead of Darren Williams
with Carlos Boozer,
I think he's the best player on that team, and I like that team in my opinion. Do I think they win a championship? No, because you got the Kobe Lakers, you got the Spurs. I don't think they win, but I like that team. That's what I'm saying.
I think you need more with Manu Ginobili. I think Manu Paul George defends better.
He does.
He's to me, he's a better shot creator than Manu. Not a better playmaker. Manu's a better playmaker, but rebounds. I think you need more to build a team around Manu than you would with a Paul George. So therefore, I'm giving Paul the nod as a overall better player.
We did see Manu be the number one. In the Olympics.
You said in the Olympics?
Yeah, that's not moving.
I mean, but do you think, like, Morris, do you think Manu could have did what Paul George did in 2021 when Kawhi went down?
Well, win a couple games.
I'm talking about go to the conference finals. He almost went to the finals saying win a couple games.
He did win a couple games.
He won a couple games. Kawhi went down in game 1? He won 3 games and that's how he got to the conference finals. Like, he won like 5 games. Yes, I think Manu Ginobili can win 5 games.
Yeah, Manu's nice. I like Manu.
That's not
a great player.
Like I said,
I don't think he could perform.
Great role player. I should say. To me, he's a great role player.
I disagree. I've seen Manu Ginobili play at an exceptionally high level. I think the teams like on the perimeter, teams geared up to stop Manu Ginobili. It's not like they were just putting these random defend. Like if you would go watch the 05 finals, Tayshaun Prince was taking Manu Ginobili because they knew he was that perimeter threat. Tim Duncan, obviously, he gets the big lion's share of the front court attention, no doubt. But Manu Ginobili got the main defensive attention of perimeter players, and he was still great, and he still excelled. He still was fantastically efficient in the postseason. He was still, in my opinion, the second best player on those Spurs teams for a large portion of their runs. So I'm just taking Manu Ginobili. But
I don't disagree. I'm not gonna argue that. I personally take Paul George as my number one, but in that role, definitely Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, and like in a team aspect, like if I'm just trying to add a couple pieces, I already got my main guy. I would also like Manu Ginobili on my team because he's a better team player. But as a number one option, I just think I would have to go with Paul George.
But another thing I've always said is, if I don't think I can win with you as a number one, which is this, it goes for Manu Ginobili and Paul George. A lot of people. I don't highly value what you bring to me as a number one. Like, if you think Paul George would be better as a number one, that's fine. I don't think you can win with him, so I don't highly value what he brings. It's like Damian Lillard, in my opinion. I don't highly value what he brings to me as a number 1 because I don't think you can win with him. So I value what you can bring to me as a number 2. I think you can win with Manu Ginobili as a number 2. I think you can win with Paul George as a number 2. As a number 2, I value what Manu Ginobili brings more than Paul George. It's a similar reason why I value guys like I value a lot of people. If I don't think you can win as a number 1, what you bring as a number 1 means very little to me because you're not going to win. So you need to be a number 2 or you need to be a number 3. And then as a number 2, I take Manu Ginobili. As a number 3, I take Manu Ginobili. So I would take Manu Ginobili over Paul George.
Okay. I can agree with the way you're saying it like that. Yeah.
Hold on. So
it's like Russell Westbrook.
Exactly. I don't think Russell Westbrook can win as a number 1.
Number 2, he's horrible.
Exactly. That's why exactly.
Yeah, that's
I got some super chats that I gotta read off. Hold on real quick. Someone get CEO Shaq. I am crying. The one Magic at 10-11 is borderline mentally challenged.
He's overrated.
Why though?
I don't get it.
People get to say why. Like that team he came into a super team situation. If you want to be honest, that's a real super team. When you got Wilkes, Nixon, Kareem. Magic didn't have to do nothing but set these dudes up, and he was great at it. I'm not knocking that. He was superb at it. But all you had to do was bring up the ball and find these guys in a good situation, and they were great scorers. All of them could put up major numbers. So, I mean, he was and scoring-wise, he was a 4th option when he came into the league. You know what I'm saying? He was a 4th option. So to put all this on it, and later on he took a more heavy role, and granted, and they won, they played great. I'm not knocking that, but I'm just saying to put that much on Magic as a top 5 is a little OD to me.
I've heard people have Magic at 3, and that's just crazy to me.
I've always said the reason I have him so low is because of longevity. If that's mentally challenged, that I just value longevity, then sure. It's not like I'm saying the guy's trash.
And who y'all think was better on that? Who y'all think was better during that run in the 80s between Magic and Kareem?
The first 80 Kareem was better. 82, I think that's where you got a 1A, 1B. I'd probably say Kareem was still better than 82. Then you got 85 is Magic, 87 Magic, 88 Magic, and then
But you still had other great players on that team. Like you argue him and Kareem, but you still had I don't know.
Wilkes.
Did they have Wilkes still in 82?
They had Jamal Wilkes in 82. Yeah.
Yeah, and you still had Norm Nixon getting buckets.
And Michael Cooper.
And Michael Cooper off the bench getting buckets and playing the league.
Magic, he ain't just go along for the ride though. He put up.
He was great. He was the second. In my opinion, he was the second best player in 82. In 1980, would I say he's the second best player? Yeah, I don't know because Norm Nixon was playing well, but I'll say 80 was the second best player, sure. 82 is the second best player, and then 85, 87, 88, I think he was the best player on the team. So I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying all I've said, I think his peak is very high. I think he's like a top back end of top 10 peak, like 7 through 10-ish.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Longevity, I think it lets him down, and that's why he just falls out the top 10.
To me, I think it's 3 players in basketball history that have separated themselves from everybody else.
MJ, Kobe.
They're like the next 8 to 10 people behind them. It's like interchangeable to me. Like you can just do whatever you want with them. So
I see Elder in the chat said Magic led those teams, and we're not discounting that he was the leader of those teams, but I don't think he was necessarily early on. He wasn't necessarily the best player on those teams. Was he a great leader? 100%. Was he a great facilitator or a great, great playmaker, passer? 100%. Nobody's discounting that. That's why he's in the top 10 or 11, right around that area, worthy of top 10 notoriety. But at the same time, like you said, when we add context to it, I just don't think he's among those top 5, 6 players that did it with less.
Yeah, I mean,
Magic's leadership did get questioned a lot early on. Neither do I. Magic's leadership did get questioned a lot early on because obviously he requested that trade because Paul West had wanted to start using him less as a point guard and more as like a forward, and he wanted to slow the game down. Magic Johnson wasn't happy about that. So I mean, you could question his leadership if you wanted to. So,
Elder, what's good, Elder?
Agree with that?
I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying it was like people called him a coach killer. People were like they had their gripes with Magic Johnson.
No, I'm talking about with the Bird thing. Like,
I think Bird was a better player. I think he peaked higher, and I just have him slightly ahead of him
Okay, I think the same thing.
Elder, you there? What's good, bro?
Can y'all hear me?
Please tell me Elder is here,
I
bro.
hear you now. Give me 1 second. I got 3 more super chats to get off real quick. Thank you for that.
Yeah, let me get out and come back in because there's a bad connection on my part. I'm gonna go out and come back.
Oh, got you, bro. Drink more water. Legendary coach Bill Parcells had a quote that said, "You are what your record says you are. When are we going to apply this to teams like the Lakers?"
Never.
Never.
I agree.
Cincinnati Red. Who's his top 10 players right now? I think he's talking about you, Jew.
Right now?
Yeah.
Like, I got Giannis, number 1. Steph. Kevin Durant. Luka. Jokic. Embiid. Tatum. Donovan Mitchell. What's that, 8?
Yeah, that's 8.
Yes.
It's not a bad list so far. I'm not gonna hold you.
Booker.
Mhm.
And then I go Damian Lillard, 10.
No AD or LeBron?
Not in the playoffs.
Booker over Braun is crazy.
Got you. Another super chat from G-Man. CP3 over Russ. Dub Dynamic.
Oh, dynamic doesn't equal dunks. Because Laurent said Russ was more dynamic than CP3. So he's saying dynamic isn't just dunks.
Got you.
There you go.
Okay, yep. Thank you for that, Mars.
No problem.
Rufus, you good now?
It's a solid top 10, by the way, bro. It was solid to me.
Yeah, that was a pretty good list.
Yeah, I like the first 7 names.
Mm-hmm.
Lost me towards the end, but
a little bit with Dame and then other, that's questionable. But
I would have had AD and Braun in there, but I'm not mad at it though. I'm really not.
You could put AD in like if they go if they make the playoffs and both of them playing at a high level, then you definitely.
Wait, how is Dame in there if he's out the playoffs?
Yeah, facts.
He's not playing with another superstar.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Shit, neither is LeBron for most of the season.
That's true.
Do y'all think Dame is better than Shea right now?
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think, but like Shea, to me, he's been playing not elite defense, but it's right under that tier of playing at an all defense level, in my opinion.
I say right
especially
now,
in the
Dame.
passing lanes.
Yeah,
Go
right
ahead.
now, Dame. Shea on his way, bro. Shea's on his way.
I mean, I was trying to tell people about Shea back in 2021, but I guess people had to see him average 30 for them to realize that this is what Shea's been.
Mars, you don't think Shea is a good, one of the best actually defensive guards in the NBA?
No.
I mean, he's leading them in blocks and steals.
Okay.
When you watch the games, you can see how much he's in the passing lanes, deterring players from driving past him, playing good on-ball defense, playing good off-ball defense. I think he's an underrated defender.
I think he's all right. I mean, I don't think he's great.
What I like about Shea is his ability to score on 3 levels that I think exceeds a Dame who is so heavily reliant on the 3-point shot. When the 3-point shot goes, Dame gonna still get some buckets. I'm not saying that, but I think when you shoot that many threes, it's tough to be consistent in your game. I think Shea, if his 3-point shot is not falling, he can still really knife you up from the first and second level. You know what I'm saying? That's why I appreciate a player like Dame. I mean, Shea over a player like Dame. Me personally.
I just like how well he gets to the rim. That's the key to me. If you can get to the rim, if you can get to the rim that easily and draw fouls, I think that's something that can translate. I'm not sure about 3 level. He doesn't really shoot the 3 like that, but
he doesn't shoot the 3 like that.
No, not. You gotta respect it though.
The mid range is great. I agree. But the biggest issue I have with Shea, I don't see the defense that you see. Uzi, I don't see that at all. But that's neither here nor there. The issue, someone who has to create. It seems like it's a lot of isolation, top of the key. I'm not gonna say it's James Harden, but it reminds me of I don't see how well that meshes with other people. If you need to isolate top of the key and have all that space at the top, it's I don't know, if I put you next to a Jason Tatum or if I put you next to an Anthony Edwards or whatever, I don't see how that fits with other people. I think it's more of a solo act, and I don't think you can win this way. So I need to see his game look more measurable with other
his
people.
game definitely needs to develop more to
that's all it is.
He needs
to
some help
put
over
him
there
as a
too, and I think
superstar.
that's coaching too. I think they run a lot of that. Even they try to turn Josh Giddey into an ISO player and those type. You know what I'm saying? So that makes it tough. I think that's more coaching and just his personnel around him as well. But
Yeah,
we'll
it'll
see.
probably come.
hmm
Got you.
What
Hey,
about
I gotta let some other guys up here, bro. So appreciate y'all for taking the time out
Oh
y'all day,
man, I
bro.
wanted to smoke with Elder, man. I wanted a little smoke with
That's what I'm
I,
saying.
I,
I
I,
want to
I'm,
smoke with Elder, bro.
I was gonna let y'all go at it, but his connection's acting up, so maybe a different time, man. He's on the road right
all
now, so
good. Hey,
safe
appreciate
travels
y'all.
to Elder,
Appreciate
man.
y'all.
No
All
problem.
right,
Appreciate you
salute to y'all,
guys.
boys. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Yes,
All
sir.
right,
Be
so
safe. Perfect. And then we gonna get all these guys up here. What's good, fellas? How y'all feeling?
I'm good. Oh yeah, Mars
Yeah.
wanted to meet a Man City fan.
Right, can y'all hear me?
Hello.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Jesus.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Man City fan frauds.
No,
Guy
you can
didn't
say
exist.
what you want. We
He
win.
didn't exist 15 years ago.
Neither did I. Hey, I
Yeah,
looked up. I said, let me get into soccer. I said Jamaican player. They had Raheem Sterling holding a Man City jersey. Went over.
Yeah, just say you're a bandwagon, man. It's fine. I'm a bandwagon in the NBA. It's all right. Just say
Now
you're
I'm
a
a
bandwagon.
Jamaican bandwagon.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, man.
Hey, so what you guys think about today, bro? What you guys got to say? Anything that you guys need to address?
Oh, one of the guys who was up here earlier, the bald dude, LeBron fan, he called Chris Bosh a loser like 2 streams ago. When Chris
Oh,
Bosh's
yeah.
second
Okay.
best player was Jason Capono. And I don't understand why every player else is a loser. But when LeBron had a 66 win team, he just had no help in the world. But Chris Bosh is supposed to pick up Jason Capono and drag him to a first round win. It doesn't make sense.
Why are you disrespecting Jason Capone?
I agree. The Chris Bosh disrespect is asinine.
What's wrong with Jason Capone?
But
Jason Capono as your second
That's a sniper right there, man.
as your
Don't
second
disrespect Jason
scorer,
Capone.
nasty.
Yeah, you ain't gonna disrespect Jason Capone, man.
But Doug, you say that the East was weak, but then you always praise Chris Bosh for leading the Raptors to the finals. To the playoffs. Which one is it?
Still hard to lead a bad team to a playoff.
I mean, it's different standards. It's a weak East when you're LeBron James, sure, but when you're Chris Bosh, I mean, good for you. Like, it's different standards. If LeBron James was barely making the playoffs in that East, we'd hold him to a different standard than we do Chris Bosh making the playoffs in that East because they're different caliber of players. That's just.
But Chris Bosh was barely making the playoffs.
Yeah, he was. He was barely. I mean, I don't give him a lot because I think there was one player, I can't remember who it was against. He severely underperformed, but I just think Chris Bosh is underrated, not because of his time in Toronto. I just think he's underrated because of his time in Miami. I think he developed his outside shot, which he didn't really utilize in Toronto because he had to go complement LeBron James and D Wade, who both didn't have a great outside shot. He was one of the most versatile defensive fives in the NBA when they started using him at the 5. He was a stretch big. He was pretty revolutionary in my opinion. If you look at those early 2010s, not many teams use bigs like Chris Bosh. So I think he doesn't get enough credit for that. I mean, the Miami ran something similar in effect to how the Warriors ran a defense. And Draymond Green gets a lot of credit from a lot of people about that. But Chris Bosh was a big key part for why those things could work. So I think he just needs a bit more respect for that.
I think he get overrated for his Raptors time and underrated for his Heat time.
Who rated him during the Raptors time?
Everybody, how people talk about him when coming.
People said Pau Gasol was worse than Chris Bosh. I don't agree with that. That's crazy to me.
I also hear people say like when LeBron was going to the Heat, they're like, "What were the Heat doing?" I'm like, why do we act like the Heat were not going to have? If Wade and Bosh just without LeBron were there, they're still probably a top 2 team in the East. They probably don't go to the finals every year, but Wade and Bosh and whatever the Heat put around them is probably a top 2-3 team in the East contending every year.
But I mean, y'all know how it is. If you're not that so-said superstar, they're not going to give you the credit no matter what it is. So, I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. It's stupid. But, I don't think Chris Bosh at Toronto was that bad. I mean, you can't help your team if your organization's not helping you out as a player. Like, they're not giving you help. What you want me to do as a said player. I'm doing all I can anyway as it is. But yet, what you want me to do as a player? Like, I hate when people always kind of harp a lot of blame on players, especially in situations they can't help, like Paul Gasol, for example. I mean, but his team wasn't that good. It was decent, but I mean, not everybody can just raise him to be that super flourishing player and rise they trash of a franchise up to be great. So, but you know, I mean, and they Bosh is a winner. He got 2 fucking championships. Man has 2 titles with LeBron. So I wouldn't call him a loser. I wouldn't call him a loser at all.
I mean, his rebound in Game 7 was so important. Like, I mean, what about
Exactly,
Game 6?
like,
Like,
people
it
forget
was such an
that.
important rebound. Like, calling him a loser when, you know, he was like part of maybe the most clutch moment in NBA history is like, it's crazy to me, honestly.
Man, all I'm saying is those blood clots don't come. Hey, some of them LeBron finals runs ain't looking too easy.
Hey, I have a question for y'all. Did anybody hear that Stephen A. tape about LeBron James? About he blamed him about the slam dunk contest?
Yeah.
I wonder how y'all feel about this. I felt some type of way when you.
What did he say?
I feel like LeBron get blamed for everything. Just got wrong. Like what?
So,
about LeBron, I've never looked at LeBron as a creative for dunker. I don't think he would look right. I think he's an in-game dunker.
Dunker, yeah.
Nah, he can't. No, I do blame LeBron.
I don't think Ja Morant would do good.
I do blame
him. I agree.
Well, Ja Morant even said it. He even told them he's not doing the dunk contest. He said it out his mouth in the presser when they asked him.
That stuff started with LeBron. That stuff started with.
I don't get what they expect. Like we just look at the way Jericho Sims got disrespected, and he's a nobody. Now imagine if a superstar goes into the dunk contest and doesn't live up to expectations. They're going to get crucified.
Exactly.
It's not worth it for these superstars to do it, because if they do well, they did well, and if they don't exceed the expectations people set out for them, they're just going to get crucified for not doing it. There's no benefit to being in the dunk contest.
Yeah, but Mars, that's the problem. It shouldn't be for your benefit. That's what All-Star Weekend. I think
it should be for your benefit. It should 100% be for your benefit.
But I think that's kind of the core of what people beforehand. I guess before players weren't getting criticized as much, but beforehand, people weren't going there for their benefit. They were just kind of going there to have fun. And Tracy McGrady didn't want to do the dunk. He's actively said he didn't want to do the dunk contest, but Vince asked him to come do it. And there was no benefit for Tracy McGrady to literally dunk up against Vince Carter.
He was weak-minded. Yeah,
but weak-minded. But I just think it got too right. Like now, who is Ja to say I don't want to dunk? You've been in the league 3 years. Like,
if he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it.
I mean, yeah, it's fine if you don't want to do it, but I mean, I think you should know, like, it's like you got all these big contracts for a reason. I think it's one of those things where you should like look at it and be like, Vince Carter doing what he did helped the league. Like him doing that contest helped the league. We still talk about it today. Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, that dunk contest helped the league. And now Jericho Sims is he's basically a sacrifice to what they're doing because they can't find nobody who has a decent name value to do the dunk contest. So now we got Mac McClung versus Trey Murphy, and we're hyping up dunks that we don't really care about, but it's better than what they did last year.
Hold on, LeBron wouldn't beat Mac McClung in a dunk contest. Ja Morant wouldn't beat Mac McClung.
I don't care about LeBron winning. I don't care about him winning.
Paul George wouldn't beat Mac McClung in a dunk contest. I can name all the none of the superstars today will beat Mac McClung in a dunk contest.
But it's not about them winning. I don't care about them winning. I just want to see LeBron in the contest.
So would you be considered?
If he doesn't want to be in it, he doesn't need to be it. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not saying where they want. I'm just saying as a fan, I don't care about Mac McClung. I don't care about Jericho Sims. But like if they have some like Zach LaVine was a dunker and a good enough player to where we want to see Zach LaVine dunk. Same with Aaron Gordon. Same with Blake Griffin.
No one really cared about Zach LaVine.
Nobody cared about Zach LaVine.
What happened was they put on the greatest dunk contest performance we've ever seen. So
and then we got put on Zach
LaVine. But people wanted to see Zach LaVine in the dunk contest.
No, they did not.
He was a top 10 pick.
I don't know. Nobody was sitting here. He didn't. Nobody knew. Nobody was sitting here like Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine made his name through the dunk contest. Like. Then he made his name
Zach
in
LaVine
Chicago.
Was known before
no.
Had highlight film of him doing all type of
Zach LaVine was known before.
Zach LaVine in Minnesota. Zach LaVine in Minnesota did not get love like that. He did not be like, oh yeah, he's gonna be this all-star guy. No, that wasn't the case.
I'm not talking about him being an all-star. I'm saying people wanted just to see Zach LaVine in the dunk contest we knew history of Zach LaVine and Duncan.
Yeah, but that's true. But Zach LaVine made his name through that dunk contest. Zach LaVine and the way we held him up to was made through that dunk contest. It wasn't like a Vince Carter going to a dunk contest where where we could see the trajectory where he was going to become, or LeBron James or John Morant. No, everybody looked at Zach LaVine and was like, you're a dunker. Cool. He made his name in Chicago, and they was like, oh yeah, this guy has potential now, but not in Minnesota.
In Minnesota,
he did the dunk contest. He was in like year 2, I think.
No, I'm saying before Zach LaVine did when he went to when he went to college, people were like, Zach LaVine's this, like, from high school, people knew Zach LaVine was this good, and then he got picked in the lottery, and he wasn't a bad player. He was just in Minnesota. That was his problem. But people still wanted to see Zach LaVine. He still had the name recognition to be like, I want to come watch Zach LaVine do a dunk contest.
But do you know why he had the name recognition, right?
Because he was a good dunker. And
he had YouTube clips of doing free throw line dunks between the legs before, so we wanted to see him in a dunk contest. We ain't never seen LeBron do no between the legs dunk.
We watched LeBron.
LeBron do a half cradle that everybody call a full cradle. It's not even a full cradle.
No. LeBron was posting literally. LeBron would. Dub's a Miami fan. He remembers LeBron, like, before All-Star Weekend, would be posting the clips of him throwing the ball off the wall and doing
a basic dunk.
Basic dunks. I'm not gonna lie. I seen LeBron was just doing his tomahawk basic dunks.
And people were hyping it up and sharing it around because it was LeBron.
But it would have got a 30 in a dunk contest.
No.
Why would he go out there and embarrass himself?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If LeBron did do a dunk contest, I really believe they would give him a 50 just off a basic ass dunk just because of LeBron.
See that?
Y'all do realize,
and then social media would kill him for rigging the dunk contest.
Y'all do realize that LeBron has done it. Y'all do realize that LeBron has done a dunk contest before, right?
Yeah, he did in high school.
And he won because it was in Cleveland, and he had the judge.
Dunk contest is about vibes. Yeah, but it's about vibes.
Didn't Kobe win a dunk contest with like really basic dunks in like '97?
Because it's
about vibes. He did what in between the legs and like really like I think basic dunks. Really, he didn't really do anything that was like mind blowing. I mean, to be honest with you.
But also, I don't think you need LeBron. I think you need dunkers that are relatively respected, like who have like a relatively good name in the league. I think that's part of their problem. Like Jason Richardson wasn't the star of stars, but people were like, I want to see Jason Richardson dunk.
If you don't know who Matt McClung is, you don't follow basketball.
But Matt McClung's not in the NBA. That's not the problem. I just don't care. Matt McClung's not in the NBA.
If you don't know who he is, you don't follow basketball. If you ain't want to see Matt McClung, go out there and put on the show.
Matt McClung, we're not doing that.
But
with
like
Matt McClung.
the dunk contest and the whole All-Star weekend is like based around it appeals to casuals mainly, right? So a casual is not really gonna know who Mac McClung is. So
you should. A casual.
No, you shouldn't.
He said you should.
It's
but,
like we want
to
see Anthony Edwards dunk. We want to see John Morant dunk. That's like they don't technically have to do it, but like that's who people want to see dunk.
I hear what he's saying because I look at it.
Dunk, go watch NBA.
I look at it.
But,
like
okay,
this.
Mark. If the 3-point contest was just like Kevin Huerter level players, like you want to see Steph do the 3-point contest. KD was ass in it, but we still wanted to see him do it. Like it's just a fun thing. I think I agree with you. Maybe it's because people are so pessimistic. But the vibe, I want it for the vibes. Like I'm not going to criticize LeBron for losing a dunk contest. Who cares? Well, I want to see him do a dunk contest.
That's why I said we gotta hold people accountable mainly for this, right? I understand your point, and I think somebody talked about like LeBron James ruining the dunk contest, and Stephen A was on his jock about it.
Yeah.
People gotta realize what people do are reactions to what other people do. For example, the reason why LeBron probably never did the dunk contest his career, because you know how many times people were saying said, "Oh my God, you didn't win a dunk contest. How can you be better than Michael Jordan? Let me put a stain on your legacy." They'll be reaching for pennies. That's probably more of the reason why LeBron never did it, is because there's a lot of people out there that would use points like that to negate these players instead of having it for what it is meant to be. just for fun, just for shits and giggles, just to have a good time and show appreciation towards the fans, people turn it into something that it's not. So I'm not going to blame LeBron James. I'm not going to blame other guys for or be mad at them for refusing to do something like that when this is what the masses do. Y'all have a tendency to disrespect players for stupid reasons. Seriously. And that's one of the stupid reasons that you do. Like, come on, bro.
And
But the problem is today
Nick Wright
still
made
I see people like put a black mark on LeBron's legacy for never participating in the dunk contest. Like
Even
I've literally seen
I've never
videos like, oh, LeBron he's mentally weak, he's afraid of failing because he didn't participate in the dunk contest. So like either way,
pennies, bro.
Nick Wright also made a good point where he said it was the media fault because the media made it all about what do you do in the playoffs, so nothing else matters anymore.
You know what? And I'd seen
What-
that Nick Wright said. It
I
was an
saw that.
amazing
I
take.
100% agreed with that.
I
Yeah,
100%
I
agree.
mean, yeah, the media, yeah. I hate when people blame like stuff like, but when y'all say the playoffs, one thing matters is the playoffs. Then what you want the players to do? Then like, all right, you say the playoffs matter, so I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna do this to make my whatever. So don't complain as the media like, oh, now it's stacking the deck, this and that. No, bro, y'all keep saying championships matter, or what you do in the playoffs matter. What you do in the regular season doesn't matter no more. Hell, we don't even take MVP seriously anymore. To the point, we don't even care who wins.
I agree. The media is a
Before,
part
a lot
of that,
of the
but
things.
the players
Nah,
did
nah,
a lot
but-
of that. The players
No,
did a
no,
lot
no,
of
no.
that.
The media is a big part of that. The players reacted to that, right?
No, I
players,
mean like
players were
I
being
mean like media like Shaq and Kenny and them, like they are when they got part of the media, they're a huge part of that because they started just clowning dudes. And it was
for
different
Shaq
when
and a fool?
No, I'm like Shaq and Kenny would. I mean Shaq and Kenny would kind of like they were just actually clown dudes that they didn't know. Like when Shaq and Kenny would clown Chuck, that's different. They know Chuck, but when they started doing like the Dwight Howard stuff, or like it would be stuff like even in the media, like you haven't won nothing. Why are you talking to me? That like whole era in the 2000s, that's when it started. Like you ain't won nothing. You can't talk to me about anything, and they perpetuated that. And then the media, once we got into like the Skip era, they like exploded on it. And then Skip and Steve, they did.
It wasn't just
the
Shaq.
players.
No, I'm not gonna lie.
LeBron,
It was
Jordan
it was the
debate.
masses, bro. It wasn't just Shaq. Everybody. This has been a thing before Shaq and Kenny. This is a thing that was a standard that was set from the media before them, bro. Like this has been a
That was
long
Jordan.
narrative for a
That
very
was
long time.
Jordan,
A
honestly.
lot of players, a lot of fans discount play. Like we don't praise. Let's be real. We don't praise players for what they do in the regular season anymore. Back in the 90s or even to the 2000s, we praised players. We praised Tracy McGrady. We praised Carmelo Anthony for what they were doing in the regular season. Now it's shifted. Now, empty stats. It doesn't mean anything. What you're doing equates to nothing. Okay, cool. If that's what you guys are going to say about the players, then the players, in reaction to that, cool. I'm going to take time off. I'm going to sit here and make sure I'm healthy so that when the postseason comes, I'm going to be ready for that. Because obviously, you don't care about what I do in the regular season. You care about what I do in the postseason, right? So all this criticism about the guys not working as hard, they're soft, they load manage too much. You're missing me with that BS because that is because of y'all. It's because of y'all and criticizing these dudes for their craft, saying stuff like empty stats, saying stuff like their MVPs don't mean anything, or what they do in the regular season doesn't mean anything. That's exactly what you're gonna get. So don't be mad at the players. Be mad at yourself.
Like, for example, based on what, like, thinking about what you said, for example, Jokic is about to might win his third MVP, right? And all I keep hearing from people is say, well, if he doesn't do nothing in the playoffs, well, that MVP didn't mean nothing. Oh, yeah. Then the narrative's gonna be, you see that? He's a good regular season guy, but playoff time, oh, he's look at his playoff record and resume. But the fact he's won his third MVP, that should be something to talk about. The praise. He'd be since Larry Bird to win three back to back like that, but people are like, if he'll do that in the playoffs, you see, he's just a regular season guy. He's not a playoff performer or whatever. And we gotta stop that, man. We gotta praise guys in the regular season too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the regular season should be taken seriously. It should. But you know what I'm saying? We live in this media age. If it's not the playoffs, if he's not winning titles, when he win his accolades, then it don't mean nothing. But we know if you're not a casual, you know, man, that's those feats that they're doing in the regular season matter. That's hard. They breaking records. You see players break records. That's a good achievement. I don't care if it's the regular season or the playoffs. breaking a record is something should be praised about. I never understood how the media looks at records and stuff like, oh, he broke in a regular season. No, that's still a record that's broken. I don't care anyone says. Once a record to me is broken to me, you should get praise for that. You should get praise for that.
There's no more appreciation for the guys and what they do, bro. And that's the issue with
Oh.
and that's the issue with the league as a whole. It's not just the players, it's not just the fans, it's everybody doing this, bro. I
Y'all
blame
do
more
it
of the
on here
media.
too, Doug. Y'all do it a lot on here.
Oh yeah, I'll take accountability for that.
Yeah, I mean, people are trying to
But
protect
you don't
their
see
errors. I mean, that's what
well,
people are
I
doing.
mean, people put Kareem over Wilt because of that, eh? Hey, Mars?
I do. I got some super chats
What?
real quick.
What did you?
No,
You
not
put
you.
Kareem over Wilt because of playoffs, right?
Yeah, playoff translation. Yeah, that matters. Yeah,
that matters. But I think, yeah, because I was actually up here to disagree with you about that, honestly. But yeah, you can read your super chats.
And then you got next. I got you. I never called Chris Bosh a loser. That's from Ty. That's funny as hell. Just blame Braun for anything. LMAO. Imagine having a losing championship record and calling yourself the GOAT of anything. Reggie Reg is crazy.
Can you really have a losing championship record?
Can you really have a losing? Yeah, that's
like,
possible.
I feel like,
I don't know why that matters. Like
yeah, like.
Oh, you're saying it doesn't matter. I hear you with that. Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah,
matters
because,
if you played bad. Like the 2011 matters because he played bad.
no, I don't think it matters at all. Like
If he played well and lost, then it doesn't matter. But if you played bad and lose, then you played bad.
I just never understood the idea that you get criticized more for losing in the finals than you do in earlier rounds.
exactly.
That's what makes no sense to me.
Say for example, someone like Jerry West, like he made the
I
finals
don't
like
even think
80
your final
times.
losses should be talking about. He has 4 rings. Nobody ever say Kobe's 5.
No. If you play bad, your loss should be talked about.
They say LeBron's 4 and 6.
2011 should be talked about.
I never
because
knew that.
That's bad.
I never knew that making it to the finals could be a discount to your legacy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Casuals watch those McClung Ball is Life mixtapes. Records are broken under easier conditions.
And Wilt Chamberlain settled those records under easier conditions. So.
Yeah, it's not easier to break.
Let me not say easier conditions. Worse players.
Easier conditions.
They had some tough conditions off the court. So I'll say worse players.
Hey, so what do you gotta say to Mars, bro?
So remember, like, I don't know, I think it was on that Low Nose show, right? That he said that I don't know if you were saying, are you saying that Wilt Chamberlain as a whole is worse than Kareem, or particularly offense?
Well, I think he's worse, but the argument was offensively.
Offensively. So I mean, where do you rate his 66-67 season when he averaged
that
24
single season?
Yeah.
Compared to what, just centers offensively?
Yeah, centers offensively, their best ever seasons. Like Shaq 2000, for example.
I think single season, I think it might be 4th, unless I'm forgetting someone. Jokic, Shaq, Kareem. Because I'm taking Kareem 1977 over well, I'm taking 79 Kareem over Wilt. So Jokic, Shaq, Kareem, then Wilt would be the top 4. I think that's the 4th best. But I do think that's Wilt's offensive peak. But when I'm doing peak, I like to have a larger sample. So I do try to stretch it out over a few years. So I'd probably go 65 to 67 or 65 to 68. That's where I'd say is Wilt's peak. And the argument I made is I think Wilt Chamberlain, his scoring gets overrated because of the regular season numbers earlier on. And then people try to put that next to the assist numbers that happen later on. I'm like, you can't mismatch the players. You take the player as they were in whatever season. So when I'm looking at Wilt Chamberlain, in my opinion, his peak from 65 to 67. His scoring obviously went down because he was playmaking more. But I think his playoff translation didn't match up to Kareem in terms of volume or efficiency. I think Kareem was just clearly a better scorer regardless. I think he had better touch around the rim. I think he used his physicality better. I think he moved off the ball better. I think he was a better passer than Wilt Chamberlain. I think he was a more willing passer than Wilt Chamberlain. I think he was a better playmaker than Wilt Chamberlain. I would say Wilt Chamberlain was a better offensive rebounder, so he gets that. But I would just say Kareem was just a better offensive player than Wilt, in my opinion.
Okay. So I would agree with you that he's a better scorer, but slightly, because I don't think Wilt really should have been putting up those numbers. Like, that was just the offense he was in was literally just the coach literally just told him to shoot 40 times a game, and that was the offense. It was really bad. But I think what he was doing in when he was in on the Sixers, in 66 and 67, 68, that was the way he should have been playing his entire career. Because I think, honestly, being able to put up 24 points on 68% field goal shooting, I don't think Kareem could ever do that. But I also do think that Kareem just had more moves in the post, was more effective in his scoring. But on what basis are you saying that Kareem is a better passer than Wilt?
From what I've seen, I haven't got extensive Wilt Chamberlain footage due to the time. What I've seen, I think the assist numbers that Wilt Chamberlain got, a lot of them were very idle assists, because you see the way 60s offenses were run for the most part. Wilt Chamberlain would stand in the post, someone would run around him, he'll just like throw a little handoff to them, they'll shoot. That's not great playmaking, that's not great passing. When he did try to make those interior passes, his connections were often that he missed quite a lot. Sometimes he wouldn't throw them, sometimes he'd overthrow them and throw a lot of turnovers. They didn't have turnover stats, so you don't get to see maybe Wilt Chamberlain average 6 turnovers a game. We won't know because there's no stats for it. But from what I've seen, he missed a lot of them. I don't think he had great vision. I think Wilt Chamberlain was called a ball hog early on, and I think he heard that, and then he ended up trying to go do a full 180 and just be a playmaker, and I think that hurt his team, in my opinion, because sometimes he would have a clear one-on-one advantage and not look to attack it. Instead, he'd look to try and pass instead of taking advantage of that one-on-one. I think Kareem leveraged his scoring and playmaking much better than Wilt Chamberlain did, because he'd look to attack his man first. If a double comes, then he can find someone for an interior pass. I think he was a good outlet passer as well for his time. Kareem was, whereas Wilt Chamberlain didn't have that in his game. So I just think Wilt Chamberlain, his passing gets overrated because of the assist numbers, in my opinion.
Okay, the reason I disagree with you here is that we talk about the offensive scheme being, the big man stands in the post, and then you've got these guys zooming around him. But that was like the way offenses were run up until the late 70s. I believe that's the same way Bill Walton played. Like, he'd stand in the post, and either he'd turn around and shoot it, or you've got cutters, and he was very good at making those passes over the top of the defense to find the cutters for easy layups. So that's just the way offenses were played. So I don't know why. Kareem was also having to pass like that. So they were very stiff. Like, most of them were really that kind of stiff. So I'd also then say that I think even though Wilt probably did try and overplay his passing because of that narrative that he was just a guy who held the ball and just took a lot of shots, I think for his time and for what he did, it was very effective for the Sixers, because in that they had the most wins of any team in that decade, and it's like the 5th most wins of all time. It was a very effective system that they ran. So I don't know how it really hurt the team, aside from maybe in 69 in the finals against the Celtics, but that by then he was on the Lakers, and maybe he should have scored more in that series, and they might have won. But aside from that, I think he was generally quite effective as a passer for specifically those Sixers teams.
I'm not trying to say he wasn't effective or he was bad. Someone in the chat said I can't prove he was a horrible passer. If I said he was horrible, I didn't mean to. I don't think I did. I just think A, Kareem was better, and B, when I'm looking, I think Wilt Chamberlain did bring great offensive value. I might be wrong, but I think that Sixers team was the best offense of all time to that point. I might be wrong about that, but I believe they were. But the issue I have with Wilt Chamberlain is when he was this solid passer, even though I think it was slightly overrated, and you brought up Bill Walton. The difference between Bill Walton and Wilt Chamberlain is those cutters that we're talking about, Wilt Chamberlain didn't find them close to as much as Bill Walton did. I don't think he did it as well as Kareem did. I think he found more guys for outside shots, which is fine. Like, it's a solid pass. But when I'm talking about you as a passer, for me, there's better looks to find. I don't think he found them as much as other people did. But the issue I have was in that year, his scoring pales in comparison to Kareem, in my opinion. The volume isn't comparable. I mean, based on the pace, yeah, I think it was like 24 a game. But once you start contextualizing the fact that they're playing way over 100 possessions, you start adjusting that and you realize it's like, what, 19, 20 points per like 75 possessions or something. So when he has those high passing assist numbers, the scoring doesn't match up. Whereas Kareem, I think he was able to balance them both. And I think he consistently just had more of an offensive game. And I think it was more impactful in my opinion. But I guess that's just me. And we've lost 50 viewers talking about the 60s in this time.
Yeah, I remember when Wilt's passing first came up.
Hey yo, after today, can we keep it 0-1 up at the dub?
I have no problem talking about whatever year people want to talk about. I just find it funny that people act like I just don't know basketball.
Hey man, like JJ Reddy said, they were playing those number of plumbers in the league back then, man. JJ Reddy said
when they originally said Jokic was the best, they said Jokic was the best big man passer ever, and when they came and said Wilt averaged 8 assists, I almost threw up. I said that does not. I was like, out of all they do call Mars the stats guy, but when they want to make a point, they're quick to bring up stats without any backing. Because calling Wilt a better passer than Jokic is some insane.
It's a criminal offense. That's what it is. It's criminal.
The Hope Thomas thing for me is off. Like Ty Jerome is playing in the league. Peyton Pritchard has a contract. Like the Hope Thomas thing doesn't work. Like there are people who are not that good in the league right now. Like
you think Peyton Pritchard isn't that good? That's crazy.
No,
yeah,
respect
not that
him.
good.
Probably was Stark back then.
Peyton Pritchard would make Bob Cousy. Oh Lord, no, Peyton Pritchard. If we were,
well, I'm not talking about Bob Cousy. That's segregation ball. That's a different case.
Yeah, he played in the 60s too. He played in
I'm
the 60s
talking about
too.
like post Melanie.
Latter half of his career, though, honestly.
Yeah, I mean he was still bad. He played early 60s.
I mean, it's evolution. That's what happened.
I got a question.
What's the question?
Best role player of the 2000s.
What do you consider a role player?
You just give me an answer.
I was Mario Moon.
Jamario Moon. He from my town. He from.
Probably Bruce Bowen.
Good one.
I say Bruce Bowen probably.
Sean Marion.
Sean Marion's a really good. Is he? I don't know.
He is.
I don't know. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to figure out because I was gonna say Ben Wallace, but I don't know what's considered a role player.
When he was playing, Grant Hill.
Grant Hill was good for his
Leandro Barbosa, basically half the Suns roster.
Lamar Odom.
Yeah, I think Lamar was an underrated role player. I think don't give him
Manu Ginobili a role player?
He wasn't
separated himself from this convo.
I wouldn't say Manu's a role player.
We keep him out of this convo.
Why we keep him out of this combo?
Because technically he's a role player, but then that'll be just an easy answer.
Because if Manu's a role player, is Ray John a role player?
For sure.
He was.
Yeah.
In the 2000s.
Rajon Rondo was definitely a role player.
Yeah, I'd put him there.
100%. But listen, we hit our time for today, man. So appreciate you guys for showing up, bro. Anybody have any final words before we head out?
FY Sports. That little clip y'all posted.
I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Hey Mars, keep on fighting back against Ticket, man. Don't let Ticket see you sweat, dog. All right, keep on fighting back against Ticket. I hate when Ticket always come at you like you crazy, man. Like his takes be so wild, and when he's wrong, he gets even louder. I've noticed that when he's wrong, he gets even louder when he's talking to you. And I noticed that you be frying him, Mars. You be frying him. So do you, Doug. Like y'all really do be cooking him, and he just don't like them.
Appreciate that. Hey, I need to remind everybody that we are sponsored by Lucra, bro. Use code Players Choice to get a free extra $5 for the Lucra app. Whenever you do download the Lucra app, you get a free extra $10. Whenever you do download it, always keep that in mind. For this week, we're on Saturday, Jokic versus Ja Morant for points. We will be taking Ja Morant for points, so definitely send that Lucra wager up to us. Other than that, Matt Max, you gotta say something to get off your chest?
I want to say that little clip y'all posted of Lamont when he was saying the 90s was overrated, big man era.
Yeah.
He was cooking. He had y'all shook.
So you agreed?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, he made a lot of sense. Y'all, they couldn't get past Patrick Ewing when he was asking the names.
Oh, man. But, all right, guys. Y'all be easy. Salute to y'all. Y'all be safe. Peace.
Cheers.